Good afternoon. Welcome to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. I'm Julie Kay here with Carlene Bragg. We'll be here with you all afternoon, bringing you the local and national headlines that you need. We want to get to the biggest story really in the country right now, which is out of Minneapolis. A woman fatally shot by an ICE agent. We're now hearing from both sides of the political spectrum and multiple levels of law enforcement, and now attorneys are getting involved. So this is a live feed that we're pulling from one of our news partners out of Minneapolis that we've rolled back just a little bit because you missed a part of it while we were in break. You're hearing now from the Hennepin County Attorney, as well as in a few minutes the Minnesota Attorney General.
And we are committed to doing that. Here's our Attorney General, Keith Holtz.
Thank you, County Attorney Moriarty. Thank you for gathering us today. I just want to be perfectly clear. The precious life of Renee Nicole Good was important. She's a mother of 3, including a 6-year-old child whose father passed away a few years ago. She died trying to be a legal assistant to legal observer to look out for the interests of the most vulnerable members of our community. And she leaves behind a lot of people who love and admire her. There's a lot of people who have a very big interest in this case, including the officers involved. They have an important interest. The fact is we have an interest as state prosecutors, which is what we both are, in fairness and transparency, and to the degree that is possible to set forth a process which, when it's over, fair-minded people can say, well, as good and just of a job that could be done was done. I think I agree with County Attorney Moriarty. There is no conclusion that anyone can reach in good faith at this time, because there's too much evidence still to be evaluated. Now, what we're doing here is asking the public who may have video. There may be people who were on the scene, who saw what happened, who have some type of evidence that they feel bears on what the truth is in this case, and they can use that QR code as this evidence submission portal. The evidence will go to the Minnesota BCA, who will gather it. And we wanted to make sure that as the moments go by, every moment in these cases is precious, and it is important that people know where they can go to share the evidence that they have in their possession. And so that's the idea here. So I know if you are someone who has direct information and you have information that you feel should be shared, please use this portal and share that information. Don't judge for yourself whether it's very important or not very important. Let the people who are evaluating and gathering the evidence make that decision. But if you have information bearing on the outcome of this matter in any way, please share it. And I will say, many of you in the press may ask the question, is this a state investigation? Well, gathering evidence is certainly a component of an investigation. We are going to do the best that we can do for the public, knowing that the current posture of the federal, and this is not a critique of them, it's just a statement of fact, the current posture is that the investigation is one that the feds want to do without state involvement. And so we still know that there's evidence out there, and we want to make sure it gets gathered and collected, and we'll deal with those other matters of joint versus exclusive later. But as for now, we want to make sure the evidence that may be out there in the public lands where it should. And so with that, I guess, any other comments to be made?
No, questions?
Yeah.
Please, one at a time.
You said the BCA is saving evidence with you, so what is the BCA's role here, and what do you make of their claim that they can't do an investigation anymore?
Well, so the question has to do with what is the BCA's role here. The BCA had already, as you know, there was an agreement to do a joint investigation with the FBI. So that had started. So that much the BCA has done. They are currently typing up those reports. They will certainly share those with us. Their role in this will be to collect and catalog all the information that we get here. I want to emphasize, this isn't about one department or anything. As the Attorney General said, this is about all of us at a state level working together on behalf of Minnesotans who expect all of us to be able to work together to come up with transparency in whatever a decision might be.
Ms. Moriarty,
yes.
Two questions actually.
Sure.
Just to clarify, so the BCA, because of the initial agreement with the FBI, do they have the totality of whatever forensic crime scene evidence that was gathered? Is that already in the custody of the state?
So the question was about, because of the original joint agreement, does the BCA have access to forensic evidence? So the process here, the way the process unfolded is that the federal government came and was processing the scene. So the agreement had to be worked out with the BCA. When the BCA came to the scene, the evidence had been taken by the FBI. They collected the car. and took it wherever, the BCA does not have access to the car. And the problem isn't that the FBI took the car, it's that the BCA doesn't have access to the car, or right now even access to the forensic evaluation that happens as a result of the investigation with that car. So that's the concern here. That is what Drew Evans was saying, that in a normal investigation, the BCA would take the car, do their own forensic analysis, fingerprints, DNA, that kind of stuff, all of that kind of stuff. But they have not done that in this case, which would have been fine and would still be fine if the BCA could have access to the results.
But, so the fruits of the labor currently BCA does not have.
That's correct.
So I guess the part two of my question, and I'm sorry, is I guess, and I know how, I can only imagine how extraordinarily frustrating this is for your office and your prosecutors. You're doing this to get whatever kind of video evidence or, whatever people can add to the investigation, but if you don't end up getting the forensic evidence from the FBI or from whoever, what can you do as a prosecutor?
I think it's premature to make that decision. We don't know what we're going to get. I'll note that there was a video posted last night that most of us hadn't seen before. That the caption on social media was that neighbors had released it. And so we think that there may be other evidence out there, video, that kind of thing. We don't know. And so as the Attorney General and I know, it is critical to preserve evidence because it could be recorded over. Something could happen to it. And so this is an attempt to make sure that we preserve the evidence that's out there. And so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to look at what's there. But it's really too early right now to say what we can and cannot do. Matt.
Who at the Justice Department made this decision not to include the BCA in this investigation? Do you know?
I honestly think you should ask them.
Did you get any reasoning for why the FBI was taking over the investigation? Was there any reasoning behind that?
Maybe Mary knows more than I do. I was just informed that was the situation.
Because of the Trump administration?
No, so I was also informed that, the BCA, that as far as I knew, it was going to be a joint investigation based on the conversations we had with the federal government as well as the FBI, and then that changed. The only way I can't speak to why.
Can you address how unprecedented this is? Are you going to be sharing information that you're gathering with the FBI? And federal authorities could not have been more clear yesterday that you folks had no jurisdiction. And Commissioner Bob Jacobson was asked this question yesterday, and he said that they couldn't do an investigation because they didn't have any of the evidence. Is Bob Jacobson and the BCA really on board with this? I don't see them in this room.
That is not exactly what Commissioner Jacobson said. So I think it's important.
Well, that's pretty much what he said.
Well, please listen to what I'm about to say. I think it's important for everybody to understand that unit in the BCA was created, I think, after 2020, with the expectation that they would do the top-notch, investigate absolutely everything. Okay? What he was saying was that and this is what Superintendent Evans also said, they can't do the type of investigation that they would like to do, that they do in every case, if they don't have access to that physical evidence. That is what he's saying. And I want to remind people, though, we never have ideal investigations, pretty much. Not because of the fault of officers, but we get cases submitted to us where we would like to have other types of evidence. So what he's saying is that they will not have access to some of that physical evidence. That would preclude them from doing the thorough investigation that they would like to do.
I didn't hear that way, but
Yeah.
you thought Jacobson part of this.
Does this go straight to the BCA, or is this something that a catch-all for you guys that you will then turn over to the BCA?
Yes.
And if you'll allow me to follow up.
Yeah. So the question is, does the QR code go right to the BCA? It does not. It comes to our office, and we have an agreement with the BCA that we will be sharing it so they can catalog it. Because the goal here is to make sure we are all on the same page and we understand what evidence has been collected.
Okay, and then just a follow-up to what was asked over there. Can you ultimately make a charging decision if you don't have the car with the ballistics, like, something that is like that, where the actual evidence, piece of evidence is very important to the overall decision?
Yeah, and I can't answer that right now.
You don't know until you know.
One last thing here.
Jeff?
What access do you have to the federal officers and to their understanding of the situation, and how important is that into any investigation into what happened here?
So the question was, what access do we have to federal officers? Really none. And, it is like a police investigation, a local police investigation, too. Any officer can decide whether they want to give a statement or not. As always, we would like anyone who has anything to do with the case to give a statement. We don't always have that, so it's hard to say right now how important or not that would be.
Do you have any context into how much other states have access to these investigations when there's a federal incident where if the FBI does give them the evidence, like in other incidents where there's federal agents involved? Have you communicated with other states in these situations?
I can speak from my experience, and perhaps the Attorney General can as well. My first year here, there was a situation where the FBI was involved and the sheriff was involved, and the FBI did an investigation, and as I said, they invited us in. I mean, I had constant contact with the head of the FBI here, Alvin Winston. They invited us over to see a PowerPoint of the results of it, but it's simply their practice or their policy not to share the entire investigation. In fact, what they do initially is a civil use of force investigation, and I know they've also involved the DOJ. So I'm not, and I want to go back to, this is not being critical of an FBI investigation. It is simply our access to the evidence that they collect. And so at a minimum, we certainly hope that they reconsider giving the BCA at least access to that information. One last question.
There was some talk about the immunity of ICE agents. Could you speak, do you think the Trump administration did this to try to stop charges, or is this ICE officer immune to charges in the state?
Yeah, I can't speak to why the Trump administration is doing what it's doing or says what it says. I can say that the ICE officer does not have complete immunity here.
Who's doing the
Thank you very much.
autopsy of Ms. Good's remains? Are they with the county?
You're just listening in to Minnesota leaders, including the Hennepin County Attorney, as well as the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, answering questions from reporters and discussing that fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE agent. That, of course, being the big story in the nation the past couple days now. So we'll continue to hit that throughout our newscast until 4 p.m. So we're going to take a quick break, but stick with us. Lots more to get to in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. As I mentioned, lots happening right now this Friday afternoon live across the country. We've got multiple live feeds that we're looking at here. This one is out of Uvalde. Of course, the former school resource officer there when that school shooting happened is now on trial. So let's listen into this. This is a really, really interesting situation.
And what do the rods describe?
It describes the position where the shooter was standing.
Okay. And so if we follow the rod up for some time, we can find the position of the shooter.
Yes.
And are those rods all consistent with the shooter standing in the same position to fire the shots that left those rod impressions?
Yes, they are.
In the same position?
As he's moving around.
Oh, as he's moving around.
Correct.
I guess what I'm saying is, are the rods to the left-hand side of the photograph, is the position of the gun in a different position than when it is shooting down?
Correct. Yes, they are.
Sorry, didn't make a very good question there. And Exhibit 356. Could you tell us what we're looking at here?
Again, the same bullet defects starting from the top to the bottom. And so the bullets defects on top of the table down to the bottom of the wall. We didn't notice this before until afterwards, but the rod that is pointing down actually fell, and nobody caught it until afterwards when we were reviewing the pictures as well.
So that's not an accurate depiction of the pathway of the bullet?
Not that rod.
Okay. But nonetheless, as well as the rods, does that also accurately show the blood spatter on the wall behind and underneath that desk?
Yes, it does.
State's Exhibit 357.
Again, so they have the rods going top left down, and that same rod has still not been corrected.
Okay. And then at the very top of that photograph, what do we see there?
On the top left, there's a LOL.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the top rod, the pink rod.
Yes.
Hey, it seems like they're doing a quick side panel real quick with the judge. That's why the audio is low. So while we wait for this to come back, taking another quick break, but we'll be back here in 2 minutes bringing you this trial live out of Uvalde. Welcome back, 12:53 on the clock. Now, that trial of the former Uvalde school resource officer is continuing, but it seems like they're still in a bit of a sidebar with the judge, so there's no audio. We'll come back to that later on in the day if it's still going on. But we wanted to give you a look at your forecast. Of course, everyone is excited about the Panthers game this weekend. Unfortunately, some icky weather for Saturday. In fact, we're weather aware for Saturday morning. So
it's not going to be just if you're going to the game, tailgating, whatever. Please pack a poncho.
Poncho weather.
Poncho. Bring a poncho. You're going to need the rain gear.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
It's really exciting. It's going to be rainy. Sorry.
Can't win them all. Nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
Still exciting, but definitely poncho weather.
Yes.
So here's Majestic Storm with everything you need to know.
Turning right now to your weather impact forecast. Showers on the way, and it could impact your game day plans. Majestic joins us right now with more on what you need to know. We're going to weather impact alert for tomorrow.
Exactly. I mean, really, most of the day today is going to be quiet. Not the most beautiful day, but we're preparing people for a cold front that's on the way. It really arrives tonight, into the overnight hours, and then into the bulk of the day on Saturday. So as of now, things are quiet, but really we're getting you ready and prepared for some messy weather that's on the way. Let's get straight to it. Here's our satellite and radar. This is a line of strong storms that have already had a history of producing multiple tornadoes. We've had strong damaging winds, hail with that as well, and this is a cold front that's on the way. So right now, again, things across the Carolinas, it's quiet, but we're going to start to see that rain trickle in as we're heading into the next few hours. But the bulk of this system really doesn't arrive until late tonight and then into our Saturday. Hourly forecast for the rest of the day, it looks like this. Cloudy and dry across Charlotte. Temperatures still warm though, upper 60-degree temperatures. No sunshine out there today. And then those rain chances, they stay pretty low throughout our evening time as we're looking at Charlotte. However, if you're watching in the high country, you're going to start to tap into that moisture a little sooner. Highs across the area, we have 50s up in Jefferson and Boone, most of us into the upper 60s. But look at this, we're seeing a lot of that warm air lift into the Carolinas because of that southwesterly flow. So this is actually going to provide those potential storms moving in again overnight tonight and into Saturday, a little bit of energy that they need to actually form. Notice overnight, we're also not cooling down a whole lot, 50s and 60s. So that means your Saturday morning, you're going to step outside. It is not going to be cold. It's actually going to be warm and actually a little bit humid at times. So again, we're preparing you for tomorrow. We've issued that WCNC weather impact alert for tomorrow. The biggest impacts early in the morning on Saturday. However, scattered rain showers and even a few storms will be possible later on in the afternoon and evening. If you have any plans for your Saturday, we're mainly going to be watching for wet weather, windy conditions. It is going to be windy and warm. Lightning strikes will be possible, and then just keep that rain gear handy if you do have any of those outdoor plans. A big thing with our weather forecast today is that the Storm Prediction Center has most of our viewing area highlighted under that low-end risk for severe storms. So it doesn't guarantee that we're going to see any severe weather, but the possibility is there. And a big part of that is because look at our daytime highs tomorrow. 70s across the board, but don't be fooled. This is not going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's going to be warm, and also the humidity tomorrow is going to increase. And when we have a setup like this, when we have warm weather and humidity, that's what storms love. Again, back to what the Storm Prediction Center is indicating for us, and what we're also seeing on a lot of our models is that as those storms form, the biggest concern will be strong damaging winds. We don't think there'll be any hail, but we also have an isolated risk for an isolated tornado or two for the western half of our viewing area. It's all because of that strong cold front, again, bringing those impacts into the area. Tomorrow, those are our rain chances. Notice, very scattered. This is not going to be all day rain and all day complete washout, nothing like that. However, I think a few brief heavy downpours, that'll be possible, especially if we do get those thunderstorms. Between 3 and about 5 o'clock tomorrow, those rain chances will still be out there here in Charlotte. And here's again our futurecast tonight about 4 or 5 o'clock, some passing rain showers, especially as we're looking up towards the high country. Here's 8 o'clock tonight. And again, will Charlotte get rain tonight? A little bit, but look at this. This is 2 2 o'clock in the morning. If these storms form, a couple of them, they may even wake you up. There's a line right here, right along I-40, where we could see a couple of those strong to severe storms. Keep this in mind before you go to bed, that we could see some of those overnight thunderstorms. By the time you're waking up Saturday, scattered rain showers. Here's 10 o'clock. Not too bad. A lot of activity, though, up in the high country. 2 o'clock, are you going tailgating tomorrow? If you are, bring that poncho, because rain showers are still all around the area. There's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is what we're saying here on our Futurecast, but the game, of course, starting at 4:30, still lingering through 6 o'clock, so this is why we're weather alert. We do have that risk for an isolated storm that could become a little stronger, but really, tomorrow we do have rain on the way. 3-day forecast looks like this. Sunday's going to be the day where you can get outside. It's going to be nice, a lot more seasonal, and then Monday, 26 degrees heading out the door. That is going to be really cold. You can see our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We are weather alert tomorrow. Stay close to our team. We'll be watching radar for you very carefully, and of course letting you know if any of those storms do become strong to severe. Ben.
So definitely want to stay weather aware on Saturday, especially in the morning before you head out to the Panthers game. Now, speaking of the Panthers, they are, of course, in the playoffs. This game is huge. So our Jessie Pierre is out live. We're going to get to her in 2 minutes when we come back. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Julie Kay here. It is exactly 1:01 p.m. and we are about 24 hours away from a huge Panthers game, a little more than that. So our Jessie Pierre is out there live outside the stadium, outside Bank of America. Jessie, I know you've been talking to people who I'm sure are very excited. What's the vibe out there right now?
Yes, well, right now, it's all about getting things ready for the big game. Like you mentioned, I'm right outside of the Bank of America Stadium, and I'm going to flip around the camera. You do this. So you can see they're putting all of the barriers down, and the crews are working to get things ready. And, you know, again, it's all about creating safety as well, right? We have all these barriers here. And all of these things.
Hey, Jessie, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but for those of us watching, just a heads up that it looks like she's frozen. So we're going to take a quick break and see if we can get her back real quick. So stick with us. We'll be back in 2. Welcome back to Live Impact News. We tried to hear from Jessie a minute ago, but we were having some connectivity issues, so we will hear from her later on. And of course, we've got a ton more to get to in terms of Panthers coverage for that really exciting game tomorrow at 4:30 at Bank of America Stadium. Big story, of course, though, being the weather. We'll get back to that later as well. But we do have our audio back from Uvalde. This is actually a trial out of Corpus Christi. A school resource officer that was at Uvalde at the time of that tragic shooting in 2022 is being accused of abandoning the children. That shooting, of course, led to 19 children and 2 teachers being killed. So this is a really, really high-profile trial and could really set a precedent for other school shootings around the country. Let's take a listen in.
More spent cartridge casings as well.
Excuse me, I have this as Exhibit 403. Okay. Make a note.
So 32 and 35 are shell casings as well.
And Exhibit 404? That's all. Could you tell us what that is?
That's a spent shell casing with L scale.
And Exhibit 405?
Another spent shell casing in blood with the L scale.
Exhibit 406?
A spent shell casing with the L scale.
And 47. 407, excuse me.
That's in
406 and 407.
There's a spent shell casing with L scale, and there's another casing on top.
And that was 33.
Probably.
Exhibit 408.
A spent shell casing, 2 spent shell casings, 3. 2. There's 4 shell casings there.
4 shell casings there?
Yes.
And 409.
There's 2 spent shell casings in blood with the L scale.
410.
So overall of the markers with spent shell casings as well.
And this is just north of that hallway wall?
Yes.
Toward the center of the room?
Yes.
411.
It's a spent shell casing with an L scale.
412.
That's another spent shell casing with the L scale.
Number 413.
That's 2 spent shell casings with the L scale.
414.
There's 3 spent shell casings in there with an L scale as well.
415.
There's 3 rifle shell casings and 1 pistol shell casing with L scale.
And would you point out the pistol shell casing? Indicating the pistol was fired now twice in that room.
Yes.
Thank you. Exhibit 416.
That spent pistol shell casing.
That you just described?
Yes.
Exhibit 417.
2 spent rifle shell casings with L scale and blood.
And when you say spent shell casings,
they've been fired.
Just to be clear, that a gun has gone off, powder burned, causing an explosion, making sound.
Correct.
To each one of these cases.
For each one that's been, yes, it's been fired.
Exhibit 418.
Shell casings on top of the desk, marked 34 and 43.
And 419.
The spent shell casing in the box lid.
And 420.
More spent shell casings around the drag marks.
Thank you. And Exhibit 421.
More spent rifle shell casings with an L scale.
Exhibit 422.
5 spent shell casings with an L scale.
423.
The spent shell casing with the L scale.
424, 5.
A spent shell casing with blood and the L scale. 2 spent shell casings.
And 426.
A spent shell casing with an L scale.
427.
Spent shell casing with an L scale.
And 428.
More spent shell casings with the L scale.
I'm now on 429. What are we looking at here?
The 3 spent shell casings with an L scale and blood.
Okay, I think we're getting off on our presentation. That would be 430 each on. That's 430. Okay. So 430 is 3 spent shell casings?
Correct.
And exhibit 431.
A spent shell casing.
Could you point that out for us? Okay. And did you zero in on that exhibit 432?
I believe so. Yes, I did.
Thank you. And exhibit 433?
Multiple spent shell casings with
So
an
at
L
some
scale.
point your marker started marking more than one spell casing, is
Correct.
that correct?
Yes.
Exhibit 434. Would you describe what we see here?
So there's a ruffle bag covered in blood, a spent shell casing with the L scale, and another spent shell casing on top that also has blood.
And exhibit 435.
A magazine right next to the, right below the rifle.
The rifle's at the top of that.
Yes.
And the next exhibit? I have that as 435.
It's a spent cartridge casing, rifle shell that has an L scale as well.
436. What are we looking at here?
Under the desk, under the chair, right next to the, I guess the arm of the chair, there's another spent shell casing marked as 55.
And 437. Excuse me, 439.
A spent rifle shell casing on the top of the desk.
And now 439.
That's the copy machine.
And on
And
top of
there's
the
a-
copy machine, is there a basket?
On top of the basket, yes, there's one, a basket on top, but there's also a spent shell casing in the, I guess, drawer.
And for the record, that was exhibit 440. And 439.
The spent shell casing inside the basket.
And 441.
That's where I try to mark the spent shell casing inside the cabinet.
And did you zero in on that?
Yes, I did.
442.
To the top left corner of the 58.
And 443.
It shows the back of the cartridge where the primer struck the, where the firing
And you
pin.
then change locations to the television.
Yes.
Showing you the next exhibit, I have it as 443. Let me go. Tell us what we're looking at here.
I can't see. I'm not sure if it's a bullet fragment or what it is next to number 59.
It's obvious not a share casing then. Is that
Correct. There's nothing.
So exhibit 444, close up of that 59 marker.
That's a bullet fragment with an L scale.
And Exhibit 445. What does that show us?
Markers 60 and 50, and from this distance I can't.
So have we now moved into collecting fragments?
Correct.
In general?
In general.
So Exhibit 446.
That's a bullet fragment with an L scale.
And before I get away from casings, let me ask you, your job is just to photograph them, is that correct?
Correct.
But were all of those casings gathered?
Yes, they were.
And evaluated and analyzed as to which shots belong to the gunman's versus law enforcement?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
But that was not done by you?
No, it's not. Not at all.
Thank you. Exhibit 446. Excuse me, I guess that's 447. What are we looking at
It's
here?
a bullet hole through the window.
And is that the same bullet hole that we saw at the very beginning of your presentation?
Yes.
448. What are we looking at here?
That's a, so you can see the torn rope for the blinds, and you also see a bullet impact.
Into the blind of
Into
that
the
window?
blind, yes.
Thank you. 449.
It's
What do we
another
see here?
bullet impact, and you can see where the string was also struck by the bullet as well.
And Exhibit 450.
That's another bullet impact.
To the blind?
To the blind, correct.
Exhibit 451.
A scale with the bullet impact.
And 452.
A bullet fragment.
And where is it in relationship to those blinds you've just been describing?
It's at the bottom of the blinds.
453.
More bullet fragments. and
Marked
blood.
at 62.
Marked at 62, yes.
454. Could you describe what we're looking at there?
There's a pool of blood. I see markers 28, 29, 27, and they're moving items out of the way so we can continue our search.
And underneath that sack, does it appear to be another cartridge casing?
Yes, there is.
Stage Exhibit 455.
Three spent cartridge casings.
Marked at 63.
Correct.
All right, we're breaking into this now. Third day of testimony in the trial of the former Uvalde school resource officer. We're going to get back to that throughout the day, as assuming it carries on as I expect it to. But we want to come back with some local news. We have an updated Vision Zero report, and our Walker Lawson's covering that today. So, Walker, first of all, for those of us who don't know what that is, what is it?
So Vision Zero is really an initiative to just make roads safer for people, trying to find the ways that we can cut down on the number of accidents. So whether they're finding pedestrian walkways to install, road improvements, lighting, whatever that really looks like. And so obviously people that sit on this task force are given updates, and the most recent update in 2025 shows that we saw a decline in total traffic crashes declined in 2025, but crashes resulting in fatal and serious injuries increased. So you see speeding and improper vehicle operations were accounted for more than 60% of fatal serious injury crashes. So the report comes out, it tells them what gender we saw the most accidents involving, which were male, which ethnicities are impacted by accidents more. So it just gives the city some insight into what's going on. And so they set goals basically and initiatives for each year. So the goals for 2026, they kind of identified what they want to do. And one of those things is utilizing transportation bond funding to identify and address the highest risk intersection and corridors. So it kind of ties in, of course, to the ever evolving transit discussion that we we have. And then there are also exploring potential approaches to an automated enforcement. So what they mentioned is including more research on Senate Bill 391, which enables municipalities and counties to install speed cameras in school zones. So just some different areas that kind of leads a roadmap out for them, and we're just kind of breaking down that entire report. There's a lot to it.
There's a lot of information to deal with.
Yes, a lot of information, and then talking to council members that chair the board. So we'll talk to Ed Driggs here momentarily, and then working to talk to Sustain Charlotte, since they're also a part of chairing that.
Yeah, and I know Councilmember Driggs, obviously transportation is his big thing, and so
he's like
curious
me.
to see, yes, curious to see what he says about this. Especially going into the new year. We've got the council retreat coming up where they'll list out priorities and budgets, so that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, also interesting to hear, kind of what his thoughts are on the improvements they've made, because in the report they show all these different intersections they've worked on, and they list out all of the number of signs they've fixed and all these things. So it'll be interesting to hear from him what he takes away, since we did see an increase in fatal crashes, which of course we've covered that ad nauseum this past year. We covered tons of different accidents on major thoroughfares, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And when is your story?
Today I am at 4 and 6.
All right.
Almost caught me off guard there.
Putting on your toes.
Yeah, right.
All right, Walter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to take another quick break, but stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News 123 on your Friday afternoon. We're going to get right back out to Uvalde, but just a heads up that at 1:30 around then, we're expecting Governor Josh Stein in Polk County to discuss Helene recovery. So that's coming up. It's scheduled for 1:30, might be a little bit later. We'll of course bring it to you when we get our live feed in here. But for now, back live to this testimony, this trial where we're hearing different arguments on whether this former Uvalde School Resource Officer abandoned the children in that tragedy.
Into a full automatic weapon.
It fires much faster.
Much faster.
With that trigger system on.
Correct.
Pass the witness.
I have a bit, but I think the break probably be done.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our lunch recess. Let's do 1:45 again. 1:45. See you back. Can everyone let the jury get out so they can get their lunch? Would everyone rise for the jury? Ranger, the rules been invoked. Don't discuss the case with anybody other than the lawyers.
All right, so that's unfortunate timing there. They're heading to their lunch break, but we'll continue to follow that through the afternoon. Getting back out to the big story across the country, which is what's going on in Minneapolis. You're looking at live footage here from a protest in Minneapolis, I believe. I mean, hundreds of people at least there lining up. This is really the scene that we've seen across the past couple days as people protest.
I mean, I've been here since 7 o'clock this morning. There have been people, there've been aerial coverage, and there have been people out since I've been here, and when I leave at 3, I mean, people are out there all hours of the day.
Yeah, the community, of course, incredibly shaken by this fatal shooting of a woman by an ICE agent. And we got a chance to speak with a former FBI agent about use of force by federal agents. Our Nick Sturdivant did this interview, so take a listen in because this is, I think, really important context to the situation.
Been staying with this coverage since yesterday, since the news broke. Just to catch you up, the woman fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on Wednesday has been identified as Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother and U.S. citizen. Again, a lot to still sort of parse out. We heard from the Trump administration. They're backing the actions of those ICE agents. They say that she rammed her car into an agent. However, there are videos circulating on social media now picked up by news sites, including our content partners over there at Care 11 in Minneapolis, painting a different picture. But we want to bring in Quentin Williams, former FBI agent and federal prosecutor. Quentin, man, thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure, Nick.
As I mentioned before, a lot to parse out with this incident. I just want to ask you, just plainly, you got a chance to look at the situation, look at the video. What did you see?
So I saw a woman who was trying to drive away after being asked to step out of the car. And as she was driving away, an officer who was in front of the car was moving around to the driver's side, and at that point he unholstered his weapon as she started to move in that right. She started moving. He unholstered his weapon and he shot her. And I am extremely concerned with the tactics of the officer, number one, to get to the point where he was in the line of the car's movement. And then I'm concerned with his decision to fatally shoot her when she was moving.
Speaking of that, what are the factors to determine whether, deadly force is justified in a situation, especially when you're talking about a federal law enforcement officer?
Right. So a law enforcement officer has to feel like they are in imminent threat of death in order to use lethal force. And there's case law on it that states they have to have a good faith that they are in danger. And so that's what his argument will be, no doubt. But the question is, was he in danger? And given the positioning of his body, the positioning of the car, the vehicle as it was moving, the speed at which it was moving, and everything that led up to this, all the circumstances that led up to that moment, was it reasonable for him to feel like he was in danger? You're going to have two different standards. There's no doubt there will be a civil lawsuit. So there are two different standards that are going to have to be met. One is on the criminal side and one is on the civil side. And we will let the courts make that decision. For me, my concern is that he could have moved out of the way. and she may have driven off, but they would have had her license plate, and they could have, seen another day with her. That was the case.
As you mentioned, there'll be a criminal case, a civil case, but I think a lot of questions. The big question, the question I've been getting, what are the next steps? Governor Walz, obviously the governor of Minnesota says the Trump administration says, hey, the state is not going to have any role in this investigation. In a federal officer involved shooting, is it normal for the state? I guess it's a two-part question. What are the next steps in a federal officer involved shooting? Does the state normally step in, or would the state normally step in?
Normally, the federal government would be the one to investigate it and then prosecute it if necessary. We're in very different times now, though, and so there is a lack of trust that will be done on the federal level, and there are very capable people with the FBI who are going to investigate this, but there's a lack of trust that the information from those very capable people will get to the Attorney General's desk, and she will pursue something. So I wouldn't doubt that the state is going to investigate it. Whether the state prosecutes it is another question, because there's a supremacy clause which will defer to the federal government in with these kinds of issues. I don't know that the state's going to have its day in court, but one thing that the state will have an opportunity to do is to investigate what happened, so they can lay the foundation or the factual foundation for the case. If there is when there's a different administration in office, that administration might want to pursue the case in 3 years.
Everybody saw what happened, or most people saw what happened from the video. The federal government has its story. Advocates, community leaders, the governor, the mayor there in Minneapolis have their story. When it comes to this case, what kinds of evidence are important, or most important when establishing exactly what happened, what played out?
Number one thing that's going to help, and they don't wear body cameras. The Homeland Security agents don't wear body cameras, what I've seen, and they didn't have them on that day. But that video is going to be very important, and all angles of the video will be very important. They will also examine all the forensics on the bullet casings and everything that is of forensic significance. But that video is probably the most important thing that will drive this case.
And another question that comes to mind before I get you out of here, Quentin, is there a universal like a training standard for law enforcement officers when it comes to, especially at the federal level, when it comes to shooting at a moving vehicle?
Yes, the vehicle has to offer imminent danger to the officer or someone else. That's the standard. And in this case, the officer will say that he was in danger of losing his life. So that's going to be the issue, and that will be the way they respond. The training is a very important question, because we don't know how these agents have been trained. There's been an uptick in the number of agents that have come on duty, and we don't know exactly what their training regimen is. That's something that, through the investigation, will obviously be exposed. So we will know it at some point. It's really important to understand that in order to have a functioning, successful law enforcement agency, just like any business, you have to have 4 components. You have to have great selection, you have to have great training, you have to have accountability, And that accountability is both positive and negative. So discipline and reward. And then you have to have retention methodologies in place. But if you don't get all four of those right, you're going to have a house of cards. So if you select the wrong people, but you train them well, it doesn't matter. I think in this case, the selection and the training have been suspect. So who are they selecting? And then how are they training them? Now we see the third aspect of that. Are they making them accountable? Could be in question. We have a lot to examine here, obviously.
Yeah, a lot. Before I get you out of here, I want to pick your brain about this one. So according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, also we heard from J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, the officer was previously rammed and dragged by a car back in June last year, 2025. He had a serious leg injury, he had dozens of stitches. Should he have still been on duty? Should he have been back on duty? I asked that because the administration threw that out there and alluded to him being traumatized. And in a situation like this, should he have been back on duty?
No, every case is different, so I wouldn't be able to comment on whether he should have been, but there should have been a process to get back on duty. And that process would include therapy, time to recover, and then, of course, an assessment. And I don't know that any of that was done with an assessment or therapy. So we'll find out. That's the one thing that's so good about the investigation, if it's done thoroughly, is we'll find out all that information, because it's going to be pertinent to get into the state of mind of the agent. Still, though, his actions are going to have to have been reasonable.
Yeah, again, a lot to sort out here. We're just at the beginning of this. Quentin Williams, former FBI agent, federal prosecutor. Quentin, man, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nick. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, but stick with us. Lots more to get to. Coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. Just approaching 1:40 here on your Friday afternoon. Want to get back out, of course, to Minneapolis, where we've been hitting throughout the afternoon and morning and past couple days. This is really the story that's rocked the nation of this fatal shooting by an ICE agent of a civilian. So we got a chance to hear this morning from the mayor of Minneapolis again. Here's what he had to say.
Minneapolis, when a tragedy strikes, there's one word that summarizes what is most important, and that word is integrity. This is not the time to bend the rules. This is a time to follow the law. This is not a time to hide from the facts. This is a time to embrace them, making sure that we're pushing for transparency every step of the way. The fact that Pam Bondi's Department of Justice and this presidential administration has already come to a conclusion about those facts is deeply concerning. The facts that from the very beginning they're calling the victim a domestic terrorist, they're calling the actions of the agent involved as some form of defensive posture. We know that they've already determined much of the investigation, and even if they haven't, there is the appearance that there is some conclusion drawn from the very beginning. If not hide from the facts, why not embrace them? If it's not a problem to have additional people at the table that have a deep commitment to the process and transparency and have run these investigations before, then why not include them in the process? The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension at the state of Minnesota has consistently run these investigations before. They have done so without bias. They've done so with a great deal of expertise. This is not some radical way out there group. This is a group that is formed by experts who understand how to investigate. Many of them have been police officers themselves. So our ask is really simple here. Our ask is to embrace the truth. Our ask is to include the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension in this process because we in Minneapolis want a fair investigation. Is it deeply concerning that this administration from the very get-go is drawing the conclusion that they may ultimately come to? Of course it is. And if you got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it. Include local experts in the process. We got nothing to hide from here. All we want in Minneapolis is justice and the truth. And speaking of the truth, let me give you another one. I have heard countless people talk about Minneapolis, many of them who have never been here, as some form of post-apocalyptic hellscape, as a place that is dangerous. Well, let me give you a statistic. 50% of the shootings that have happened thus far in Minneapolis this year have been ICE. In other words, we've only had 2 shootings. One of them has been ICE. We are a safe city. ICE is making it less so. We are a city of unity, but ICE is trying to divide us and tear us apart. For every one of the people that you see standing here behind me, they have more than 1,000 people behind them. They have people that are committed to their neighbors, committed to integrity, committed to justice, and committed to getting the truth. We will not back down from it.
That's right.
Among those that won't back down from it is the person who I'm about to introduce. His ward is right on the borderline of where this particular shooting happened, and that is Councilmember Jason Chavez. Would you please give him a warm round of applause?
Good morning. My name is Jason Chavez, and I have the privilege of representing Ward 9 on the Minneapolis City Council, where ICE murdered Renee Good. I want to let you all know that our entire community is mourning because of the inhumane tactics of ICE separating our families, forcing people back into the shadows, and the pure brutality by Immigration Customs Enforcement. The videos that we have all seen, yourself included, does not match the false narrative from the federal government. In fact, you could hear the words, "I am pulling out," moments before ICE decided to take the life of Renee Good. She was a mother, a wife, and a beloved community member, not a domestic terrorist. I'm calling on Trump's FBI to allow the Minnesota BCA to have access to all the information so an independent investigation can occur. It is important and critical to our community to have a sense of trust in this process by having an independent investigation to present to the county attorney so that adequate charges can be made. But most importantly, I am here on behalf of my entire community, echoing the calls to arrest, to prosecute and fire this ICE agent who murdered Renee Good, and to hold those accountable complicit in this crime. What has descended upon Minneapolis and in this state is not the American dream. It is not what the American dream is about. Our immigrant neighbors are here to work. They're here to provide for their family and to achieve prosperity. Instead, what we are seeing in Minneapolis and across the state is ICE kidnapping our family, following folks driving to work and kidnapping them, following people as they're heading to school or to the daycare, picking up our immigrant neighbors from bus stops. While neighbors are struggling to afford groceries, they're picking them there as well. I've personally been on the streets since this first happened, and I've seen too many ICE agents kidnap our neighbors from their cars. And to that, we're always going to condemn it. And as we continue to ask for justice for Renee Good, we're going to ask our community members to stay on alert. As a proud son of Mexican immigrants, I ask Minneapolis and Minnesota to rise up, to do everything in their power to defend our immigrant neighbors, to continue to observe the illegal actions by ICE, to blow your whistle when you see immigration enforcement in your neighborhood, to get trained on rapid response so you can educate your neighbors on what is happening on your block, to provide rides to your immigrant neighbors who need to go to work, who need to get groceries, who need to see their children come back home safely, to help your immigrant neighbors move their cars during snow emergencies, because what we are seeing is many of our immigrant neighbors being picked up simply by moving their cars. To help your neighbors take out the trash, because there are many reports of neighbors being kidnapped while they are taking their trash out. To support our immigrant-owned businesses, to drop off groceries to our children, mothers, fathers, our community members that are starving, and to let know that ICE is not welcome in this city and in this state. And lastly, we're here to demand justice for Renee Good.
My name is Aisha Gomez. I serve as the state representative for District 62A, the south side of Minneapolis, where our beloved community member was murdered this week. I'm so grateful to Councilmember Chavez for explaining this moment to us and calling on us as a community into this struggle that our neighbors are facing. With respect to the investigation into this shooting, there's really only one question in front of us. Are we going to design a process that's legitimate or not? In 2020, the state legislature created the Force Investigations Unit after the murder of George Floyd, which happened right around the corner, 7 or 8 blocks away from where Renee Good was murdered. This unit was established after a long process of looking into what are the best practices when there is an officer-involved shooting. We learned a lot about this in 2020 in Minneapolis, unfortunately. One of the things that we learned is that if you actually are interested in public safety, if you actually are interested in the legitimacy of a law enforcement force in your community, then you must be invested in accountability, in transparency, and in fair investigations when bad things happen.
That's right.
And so that's the question in front of us. Do we want a legitimate investigation that pulls in the professionals of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, who are trained to do this, who have done this over and over, who have the kind of local connections and local legitimacy that the FBI could just never have because they don't have that kind of presence here? Or are we going to have a discredited farce of an investigation? And so as a group of elected representatives who are deeply invested in the safety of our community, and thus in the legitimacy of these processes, we call on the FBI to share the evidence with the Force Investigations Unit at the BCA and have this be a legitimate and trusted investigation. Thank you.
I'm Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando, but you can call me Commish. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a very, very proud child of immigrants. I'm the youngest woman to ever serve on the Hennepin County Board. I'm the first Filipino American elected in the state, and I'm Hennepin's first board chair of color in our 174-year history. My heart is grieving for Renee and her family. This is an unimaginable and preventable loss. I honor Renee's humanity and life, and I acknowledge the deep pain felt by her loved ones and neighbors. The taxpayer-funded actions and harm we are experiencing right now are inhumane, unlawful, and unconstitutional. United States due process means that justice is pursued through legal action, credible investigation.
Nothing's better than a Penn Station grilled sub, except when you pair it with fresh cut fries. For a limited time, Penn pairs is $7.99.
But we're going to take another quick break. Of course, lots going on out of Minnesota, but you can see in the bottom right corner here, we were waiting for Governor Josh Stein to talk about Helene recovery. He is in Polk County right now, and he's been walking through, I believe, with a homeowner and kind of seeing some of the damage still. Actually, if he's walking up to the microphone now, let's take it now. Few words and then we'll do questions.
I am here today with Rick and Lori. They're homeowners here in Polk County. Meg Lebeck is with the Housing Assistance Corporation, and they just showed me the work that was done on their home. We're not far from the river. You can't see in the picture, but the Green River's just down the hill here, and it came up right up to their foundation and caused a lot of damage underneath the home. And this is a story of grit. Their grit, they were in there doing the work, but then it was also partnership with nonprofits like the Housing Assistance Corporation. The state has given a few $100,000 to the Housing Assistance Corporation as part of a $16 million investment in about 16 different nonprofits like HAC. There's another 15 or 16 million that's yet to come. That notice of application went out in December, so we're going to put more money out because we know that these nonprofits are really agile. They didn't need their whole house rebuilt here, but they had a few systems that were severely damaged and they needed some help. And it was the nonprofit with volunteers, with their hard labor. The house is now back up and running. So this is how it's going to take. We're going to need to work together. The government, nonprofits, the residents, we all have to work together to try to get Western North Carolina back on their feet. From the state's perspective, we have a housing program too. It's called Renew North Carolina, Renew NC. The application deadline is the end of this month, January 31. It had been the end of last year. We extended it because we've been getting a lot of applicants. More than 7,000 homeowners like Rick and Lori have applied for assistance from this program, and we want more people to apply. We want to help as many folks who are eligible to get the help from the government as they possibly can. We've started moving homes through that process. We've done either a couple dozen are finished or in construction, and there's about 160 that are 1 or 2 steps away from getting under construction. So there's about to be a whole bunch more housing being addressed through the Renew NC program. But these nonprofits, they're just more agile than government is, and that's why having this partnership really helps us to make an impact on people's lives. We need more help from the federal government. Typically, after a major storm like Hurricane Helene, the federal government will give 40 or 50% of the damages to the affected state to help them get back on their feet. Some states have gotten upwards of 70, 80% of the damages. Our damages were $60 billion here in North Carolina. We've received 11% of that from the federal government. And we will be grateful for every dollar we get from our federal partners, but honestly, we need more. And I'm going to be going to Washington next week to continue to press that case. We are happy to take any questions.
There's been almost no movement since October on the $13 billion or so you guys have requested. What's going to be different when you go up next week in Washington?
Well, all I know is when you're pushing a heavy object, it doesn't happen all at once. You got to put your shoulder to it and push. You got to put your shoulder to it and push. And eventually you see progress. And so we're going up there and we're going to continue to work with our federal partners. Federal government has to appreciate the extent of the damage here and just make sure that we in Western North Carolina get our fair share. Other states that were really damaged, whether it was the Gulf states from Katrina or New York, New Jersey, Connecticut with Hurricane Sandy, our hearts went out to those people when they experienced that kind of pain, and the federal government came to their aid. We need the federal government to come to our aid here in North Carolina.
Governor, can you talk about the issues of politics that inevitably play a part in negotiating for money? You're a Democrat, the Republicans hold the power. President Trump has been here multiple times saying that he and his colleagues will help. What would you say to Republicans in the fact that we're talking about billions of dollars that you're still asking for? It seems like it's like almost a rinse and repeat every time you come and speak asking for funds.
Yeah, well, everybody cares about the folks who live here. And what we have to do is just make sure that we transform that care into action. And that's what I'm going to go up to Washington and press our case. I know that the congressional delegation is supportive of making sure that we're doing everything we can to get the money that Western North Carolina needs. And as I said, we're going to keep making this case until action occurs.
Just a follow-up question. Obviously, you have been doing a lot of touring, showing good stories, positive stories. There are hundreds of people, homeowners, families, who have contacted, some of them WLOS and I'm sure other TV stations that are covering this, that say they're not getting the help. Have you considered, or your staff considered, talking with these people and having some type of press tour to highlight people that are waiting and are seeing no end in sight for help?
Yeah, none of this moves as fast as it should or as fast as people need. This Renew NC program, the housing program that people can still apply for today, North Carolina, we got that program up and running faster than any state impacted by Helene, faster than any state impacted by a major hurricane in over a decade. So we are moving with urgency, but it's never going to be fast enough. And so we're going to continue doing everything we can to get the money that we receive, whether it's from the federal government or state government, out the door as quickly and effectively as we can.
With the Renew NC program, do you guys have all the hundreds of millions from HUD, or is it a similar reimbursement program?
Yeah, the program I was saying that we got up and running, it's the Renew NC program, and it's federally funded. That was part of the appropriation that Congress did at the end of 2024. That's the only money that has been appropriated for storm recovery. And the CDBG DR, Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Those funds were allocated by HUD earlier this year. We've put in our action plan. It was approved. That was what was done faster than any other state impacted by Helene. And the total is about $1.4 billion coming to North Carolina. So we are getting that money out the door. We are writing checks to contractors doing work across the region as we speak.
We've heard from homeowners who have applied for different programs like the Hazard Mitigation Project.
That's right.
And it's still just waiting in D.C. What do you say about, do you know where projects like that are on the timeline?
I share the frustration of homeowners. There are a lot of homeowners who weren't as fortunate as Rick and Lori. Their houses, up above the river. There are a lot of homes that were right beside the river and they were washed away. A lot of those people are still paying mortgages on a home that does not even exist. And so there is a program that exists to help those people. It will do a buyout of their property at the value of what the house had been so that they can then take those resources, pay off their mortgage, and start their life somewhere a little bit up the hill. We have submitted as a state about 560 applications of homeowners just like that to FEMA and to Homeland Security, and they have not approved a single one. So these homeowners are just stuck in Neverworld where they still have a mortgage to pay, they don't have a home, and they've raised their hand and said, we want to get out of the flood zone. We don't want to rebuild in a flood zone. And we have to do better. The federal government has to do better.
Excuse me, what has FEMA accomplished?
FEMA has been a partner in many ways on many issues. That's not to say FEMA is perfect by any means. They have been slow to get reimbursements to local governments. A lot of times what FEMA will do is they'll say, a local government will say, we have a lot of debris that we have to get removed, or we have a water system that we need repaired. And they'll give them the approval. Then the local government will do that work, but it costs a lot of money. FEMA exists to reimburse that money, and that process of reimbursement for public assistance has not been as fast as I wish that it were. On the hazard mitigation program, the one that we were just talking about, that's also a FEMA project, a FEMA responsibility. They haven't done anything. So we want more.
I have nothing good to say about FEMA. I mean, they treated us like we were, I don't know, third-class citizens, or I mean, they had put a FEMA trailer, and then they kept coming and wanting us to leave. Said everything was done, we could leave, but everything wasn't done. And I was told I could buy it. I called your office, and you give me a number, and I think Brett Howard refused.
He was with FEMA.
To let me buy it.
Well, we can have a conversation to understand better than that, better about that, because that's not the way it should work. It's certainly not appropriate.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I just have nothing good to say about FEMA.
Governor, could you speak to specifically what elected officials you have talked with in Washington so far? Senator Tom Tillis, I believe, has been spearheading work to try to clear some kind of logjam with the hazard mitigation. Are you working with them? Are you going into meetings? Do they have access to President Trump? I mean, at the end of the day, it's perhaps individuals that could help move the needle on some of this. And I know these tours, I don't know if you're making any headway to get money through doing what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I have regular communications with our congressional delegation. I talked to a couple congressmen just on the travel up here today. I talked to U.S. Senator yesterday.
Tillis?
It was Bud. And they've been working very hard to get FEMA to reimburse our local governments for the work that they've already been done, that FEMA, by the way, had approved that they do. And so I appreciate the focus of the congressional delegation. So there are two things. There's one is making sure that the money that has previously been appropriated gets through and out the door and back into communities where it is desperately needed. The second is making sure that we have enough resources to tackle this incredibly massive exercise of rebuilding, and that's where I need everybody to put their shoulder to the wheel. We need more financial assistance from the federal government.
Any last questions? Why do you feel you have to say this over and over and over again and nothing's changed? I mean, I think people at home are just questioning, why? Why is this?
Government is a very difficult machine to move forward. And so we all have to put our shoulders to the wheel. That means that I got to use my voice and go to Washington and ask them to do what they need to do. But everyone watching this, they need to call their representative and encourage them to do what we know they need to do, which is to make sure that North Carolina gets its fair share, that we get enough money to help this area get back on its feet, because we want it to happen as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet you, Lauren. Nice to meet you, Rick.
Same here. Feel really, really nice to meet you, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, you were just listening into North Carolina Governor Josh Stein in Polk County. He got a tour of this family's home and what they've been doing to help with recovery. Of course, still much to do, and he talked about the requests that they've been putting in now for over a year for funds, which ones have come and what they're still waiting for. Lots to get to, so we'll be back in 2 minutes after this break. Welcome back to Live Impact News, just past 2:08 on your Friday afternoon. Of course, this is a big football weekend. The playoffs begin. Panthers playing tomorrow at home, but we're also expecting some other big matchups that includes Bears and Packers. So I believe this is the Packers on their way to Chicago now. They're getting
their little send-off party thing. You know, the fans are all there and the ropes, and they're going to cheer, and the players going to walk by.
I think I see one cheese hat. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I wanted.
The
cheese out in that, right there in the front. I think it's a little kid because you can't quite see.
Of course. They're going to Chicago. We looked up this morning. Julie, I know you have no context for this. Now,
Hit me.
think about this.
I'm ready.
Chicago hasn't been in a playoff game in quite some time. This is quite historic. The Bears have been, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, crappy over for a long time.
And
so
if
now
I
this
knew
is,
that,
this is huge.
that's how you know it's bad, because I was aware of that.
This is in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Tickets. How much do you think these tickets are? This is a diehard franchise, even though they stand by them.
And just to preface for everyone who does not know, I have absolutely zero context for what they're supposed to be. I'm going to go $500.
Babe, you're not too far off. Right now, the cheapest ticket the cheapest ticket in Soldier Field right now is $360.
Oh, I thought you were just asking the most expensive.
Oh no, expensive. No, I'm telling you, the cheapest ticket is $360 for nosebleeds in Soldier Field.
What's the most expensive?
Let me see. Best.
We're gonna look that up.
Let me look. Right now, you can get 2 seats in the 100 club level section for $3,400.
$3,400?
$3,400, babe.
Well, good luck to that. I mean,
we looked it up
goodness
earlier
gracious.
because we're talking also Panthers too. The cheapest ticket right now is around $150, which to me seems like a steal.
That's quite reasonable.
I know. I thought it was going to be much more expensive. It's not.
I'm surprised.
I know. We were talking about. I was surprised too. I was thinking it's gonna be like $200 minimum. But also we looked yesterday. It was it was $170. So the ticket prices are going down because I have a feeling it's one or two things. It's one, people are trying to get rid of it, and two, it's gonna rain.
And that brings us
to
our forecast. It is going to rain. We are weather alert for Saturday morning. So as Carlene put it so eloquently earlier, it is poncho weather.
Poncho.
Wear your ponchos. Yeah.
Right? You gotta. I mean, if you're grilling out, if you're tailgating, protect your grills.
Protect your grills.
Protect your head. Protect your hair.
Oh, protect the hair. Here's Majestic Storm with your latest forecast.
Turning right now to your weather impact forecast. Showers on the way, and it could impact your game day plans. Majestic joins us right now with more on what you need to know. We're going to weather impact alert for tomorrow.
Exactly. I mean, really, most of the day today is going to be quiet. Not the most beautiful day, but we're preparing people for a cold front that's on the way. It really arrives tonight, into the overnight hours, and then into the bulk of the day on Saturday. So as of now, things are quiet, but really we're getting you ready and prepared for some messy weather that's on the way. Let's get straight to it. Here's our satellite and radar. This is a line of strong storms that have already had a history of producing multiple tornadoes. We've had strong damaging winds, hail with that as well, and this is a cold front that's on the way. So right now, again, things across the Carolinas, it's quiet, but we're going to start to see that rain trickle in as we're heading into the next few hours, but the bulk of this system really doesn't arrive until late tonight and then into our Saturday. Hourly forecast for the rest of the day, it looks like this. Cloudy and dry across Charlotte. Temperatures still warm though, upper 60-degree temperatures. No sunshine out there today. And then those rain chances, they stay pretty low throughout our evening time as we're looking at Charlotte. However, if you're watching in the high country, you're going to start to tap into that moisture a little sooner. Highs across the area, we have 50s up in Jefferson and Boone, most of us into the upper 60s. But look at this. We're seeing a lot of that warm air lift into the Carolinas because of that southwesterly flow. So this is actually going to provide those potential storms moving in again overnight tonight and into Saturday, a little bit of energy that they need to actually form. Notice overnight, we're also not cooling down a whole lot. 50s and 60s, so that means your Saturday morning, you're going to step outside. It is not going to be cold. It's actually going to be warm and actually a little bit humid at times. So again, we're preparing you for tomorrow. We've issued that WCNC weather impact alert for tomorrow. The biggest impacts early in the morning on Saturday. However, scattered rain showers and even a few storms will be possible later on in the afternoon and evening. If you have any plans for your Saturday, we're mainly going to be watching for wet weather, windy conditions. It is going to be windy and warm. Lightning strikes will be possible, and then just keep that rain gear handy if you do have any of those outdoor plans. A big thing with our weather forecast today is that the Storm Prediction Center has most of our viewing area highlighted under that low-end risk for severe storms. So it doesn't guarantee that we're going to see any severe weather, but the possibility is there, and a big part of that is because look at our daytime highs tomorrow. 70s across the board, but don't be fooled. This is not going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's going to be warm, and also the humidity tomorrow is going to increase. And when we have a setup like this, when we have warm weather and humidity, that's what storms love. Again, back to what the Storm Prediction Center is indicating for us, and what we're also seeing on a lot of our models is that as those storms form, the biggest concern will be strong damaging winds. We don't think there'll be any hail, but we also have an isolated risk for an isolated tornado or two for the western half of our viewing area. It's all because of that strong cold front, again, bringing those impacts into the area. Tomorrow, those are our rain chances. Notice very scattered. scattered. This is not going to be all day rain and all day complete washout, nothing like that. However, I think a few brief heavy downpours, that'll be possible, especially if we do get those thunderstorms. Between 3 and about 5 o'clock tomorrow, those rain chances will still be out there here in Charlotte. And here's again our futurecast tonight about 4 or 5 o'clock, some passing rain showers, especially as we're looking up towards the high country. Here's 8 o'clock tonight. And again, will Charlotte get rain tonight? A little bit. But look at this. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. If these storms form, a couple of them, they may even wake you up. There's a line right here, right along I-40, where we could see a couple of those strong to severe storms. Keep this in mind before you go to bed, that we could see some of those overnight thunderstorms. By the time you're waking up Saturday, scattered rain showers. Here's 10 o'clock. Not too bad. A lot of activity, though, up in the high country. 2 o'clock, are you going tailgating tomorrow? If you are, bring that poncho, because rain showers are still all around the area. There's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is what we're seeing here on our futurecast, but the game, of course, starting at 4:30, still lingering through 6 o'clock, so this is why we're weather alert. We do have that risk for an isolated storm that could become a little stronger, but really, tomorrow we do have rain on the way. 3-day forecast looks like this. Sunday's going to be the day where you can get outside. It's going to be nice, a lot more seasonal, and then Monday, 26 degrees heading out the door. That is going to be really cold. You can see our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast. We are weather alert tomorrow. Stay close to our team. We'll be watching radar for you very carefully, and of course letting you know if any of those storms do become strong to severe. Ben.
All right, of course, the big news there is for those fans going out for the Panthers game tomorrow. That is at 4:30 tomorrow, but here in the Live Impact studio at 2:30, we're going to have our pregame show with all of our sports anchors and reporters here. Exciting stuff, of course.
Very exciting. You know, Jeb will be here too.
Always.
Always. So,
as always, Jeb will be here. Yep.
So you got Nick and Danielle and sweet Logan Campbell from our good friends over at FNY. She's coming to the rescue to help us with it. And then Jeb.
As always.
As always.
It'll be good. It'll be fun. It's exciting, a little stressful, little high stakes for sure.
But for me, I'm like, you already made it this far. I'm like, you already kind of won because you got to this point. But
it's a big moment. It's been so long since the Panthers have been in it.
Yeah.
Actually, our Miles Harris got a chance, I believe, yesterday to speak with a former player who was with the team last time they were in the playoffs. This is Brenton Burson. So here's Miles Harris' interview from yesterday.
Brenton, thank you for joining me, man. Pretty awesome story with you, though, man. I mean, you play for the Panthers. You're a Charlotte guy. I want to go back a little bit, though, too, because you were actually a part of the last team that actually made a playoff appearance back in 2016, 2017. Talk to me about some of those memories that you still remember from those days playing.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. And obviously, it's just great being from Charlotte, in the city of Charlotte, and kind of the buzz we have going into this weekend. It's just, the city's better when the Panthers are better, right? So it's just, it's exciting. I mean, it's the first time, like you said, that they've had a playoff game since 2017. So that was my last season. That was actually my last career football game, was our playoff loss to the Saints. So it would have been, I think, January of 2018. So it's been 8 seasons since they've played in the playoff game. So, and it's cool that it's a home game. It's been 10 years since a playoff home game. So the bank's going to be rocking. I'm going to go. It should be fun. And I saw the social media post a little teaser on a potential drum hitter coming back to town with Ace Bug. So that's going to be cool to see. I'm sure the fans are excited about that.
Talk to me a little bit about that specifically, though, too, with Cam being a teammate of yours. What was he like in the locker room as a team player, things like that?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, I get that. That's the number one question I get from anyone just doing small talk is, what was Cam actually like, right? He was an amazing player. Let's start with that. Freak. One of the best players. I mean, he kind of changed the position. But as a leader, he was great in the locker room. We looked up to him. I loved playing for him. I loved him as a quarterback person. I mean, he kind of set the trend outside of the locker room and field, kind of being himself, right, with his crazy outfits and all that stuff. That wasn't normal back then. Now it's mainstream, right? You see outfits of the day going to the games. NBA kind of took over and started that, but Cam was even before that. So, like, that was just his personality. I mean, he still does that. He's in the media world now, and he's just being himself. So I loved him. I mean, we all loved him. He was just a great player. Obviously, he was MVP of the whole league in 2015.
Yeah, a bit of a trendsetter, like you said, with his outfits. Now, looking back on your playing days and seeing the team now, I'm sure you've watched a couple of games at least. What are one or maybe even some of the similarities that you're seeing with them beyond just being in the playoffs now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of hit on offense because that's what I played. I played receiver. The defense, though, this year, they've played amazing. I'll say it. I mean, the team's been a little inconsistent. Obviously, you're 8-9, but you won the South, you won your division. That's all you got to do is get in. I'll say Derek Brown. I don't really know much about defensive linemen, but he's got to be one of the best players in the entire league. Just even the Rams game, let's use that because that's who they're playing. He made so many big plays. He basically won that game for Carolina earlier this season. I mean, he's a hoss inside. But on the offensive side, I mean, the offense is different from what we ran with Shula. That was my offensive coordinator my entire time. We're obviously power run with Jonathan Stewart. My last year of 17, our playoff game that we were talking about, that was McCaffrey's first season in Carolina. So we started to kind of change the running game and how we utilized our running back with him as a rookie. I wish we had used him more. Obviously, his biggest play of the season was in that game. He brought us back into the game in the fourth quarter with an explosive touchdown. But we were vertical passing, power run, right? The whole league's changed since then. I mean, it's been, 8 years, like we said. You see a lot of RPO now, read pass option, quick pass games. But this year for Carolina specifically, obviously, T-Mac, you take a receiver top 10, you're expecting him to make explosive big plays, and he's done that. It's hard to come in and produce quickly like that as a rookie in the NFL. It's just hard coming straight from college. You really have no break. So he's been impressive just right out the gate. Kind of reminded me of Kelvin, more explosive, probably Kelvin Benjamin, who we drafted in 14 and had 1,000 yards his rookie season. He unfortunately got hurt the training camp our Super Bowl year, but he was a great player. So it's good to see that. And then obviously Rico's come out of nowhere. So him and Chuba together has been great for the running game. I'll say, even though I'm a receiver, football's one inside. So I think Carolina building the offensive line and defensive line's really what's turned it around.
Now, let me ask you this, though, too, because, I mean, you've had an interesting career, specifically with the Panthers. But one thing about it, though, too, is that at least with your time with Carolina, you guys were able to sustain success, at least beyond just that Super Bowl appearance. You guys have made a number of playoff appearances. So when you look at this team that had a very unique path in making the postseason this year, what is the piece of advice that you gathered from your time from the Panthers as far as being able to sustain that success with really, this is a pretty young team now, too. So what advice do you have for them now?
Yeah, I mean, it starts inside the locker room, right, with your head coach and the culture that he builds. I'm not in that locker room, so I can't really speak to that. But Rivera did a great job of leading us as a team and the players, and then letting his coaches coach, right? So we had McDermott as our defensive coordinator, Shula as offensive coordinator. We had a ton of great position coaches that he let do their job, and then we respected Coach Rivera, obviously, as the head coach, and we kind of all bought into what he was trying to build. And I think I see a little bit of that happening with Canales. I've never met him, but I like him a lot. I like what he's building. And it seems like they're buying in as a team and a young team. And then the biggest thing outside of coaching structure is having veteran players that have experienced it, right, and can teach the younger players. And it's this game Sunday. It's another game, right? Don't treat it as it's some crazy game, right? Do what you've been doing. You beat this team already, right? Prepare, do the same thing. So you have coaches and players that have done it before. So this is experience that you are now getting that they haven't had for 8 years, right? So none of these, I mean, some of them probably have been in this position, but very limited. Obviously, the rookies haven't. So it's good to build that. And then into next season, you've been there before. Win or lose this game, you've been to the playoffs. You've been in that big game. You've learned from it. You kind of build on that.
Awesome. Hey, is there anything else that you wanted to add that you like about this team, that you like about seeing the team in the postseason? I know you kind of hit on it earlier about the team and the city. It just feels better, right, when they're in the playoffs and when they're doing well. So is there anything else that you're really liking about seeing that two kind of go together?
I mean, you just got to feed, the team feeds off it, right? So the fans actually, I mean, you play a big role in the performance of the team. So it's going to be cool to see. And I don't blame fans for maybe not showing up or being fair weather. I mean, that's how sports work, right? Fans are more into the game when you're winning, when your team's winning. So you get frustrated when there's not, teams aren't having success year after year. So it's cool to see success, have a playoff game. Fans are going to pack it out. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and the players are going to have an advantage from that. So I'm excited to see the vault this weekend.
All right, we'll have much more on the Panthers throughout the afternoon. And of course, tomorrow, again at 2:30 here, our pre-game show. So stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the Live Impact Studio, a couple minutes away from 2:30 on your Friday afternoon. I'm Julie Kay here with Carleen Bragg. We want to get back out to some local news. So I was actually there yesterday morning with Council Member Malcolm Graham, Charlotte City Council, as he walked us through kind of his monthly press conference now of giving us a chance to hear from him on everything big going on in the city. Of course, that means Panthers, it means transit and the new transit authority. It also means his reaction to things going on across the country. So take a listen in. This is Malcolm Graham from yesterday morning.
So good morning, everyone. I respect your time, and I really appreciate you guys coming and joining me for what is really, again, as I always say, a very informal conversation, talking about the work that I do on behalf of the people of the city of Charlotte. Again, wishing everyone a great new year, and New Year's resolution, and all the good times are over, and so now it's time to get back to work. And so I am here, as always, to do the work on behalf of the community. I'm so grateful that the citizens of District 2 voted me back in office with no opposition, which is extremely unusual for a hyper-competitive district like District 2, and I take it as a wink and a nod of me doing the right thing for the citizens of the district specifically, and for the city as a whole. And so I'm ready to get back to work. The mayor has made some work assignments for all the council members, and I've been fortunate enough to be appointed to chair the city's Budget, Intergovernmental Relations, and Governance Committee. I also serve as a member of the Crime Committee, Public Safety, as well as Transportation. Since I got back, I think I've chaired every major committee. I chaired the city's Affordable Housing Committee, chaired the Housing Task Force when we went through COVID-19, chaired the Redistricting Commission where we redrew the lines. Last year I had the opportunity to chair the Jobs and Economic Development Committee, and so I think I've kind of done the tour of all the major committees, and certainly intergovernmental relations, dealing with Raleigh, Mecklenburg County, Feds, as well as the new Metropolitan Transit Authority is really important. Obviously, the budget is extremely important, and so as you noticed last year, our governance, how we operate, is going to be extremely important this year. So I take the challenge, look forward to doing the work, obviously leaning in on transportation as well as crime. We'll talk a little bit about all of that. A footnote, again, with all these meetings, these are my personal perspectives, my personal opinions. They do not reflect the council as a whole or the mayor or the management team. This is just Malcolm from District 2 thinking about how I need to process the work in conjunction with the council as well as the mayor. And so these are my thoughts, my opinions, my perspectives, and not the council or the mayor. Public safety will always be a top priority for the city, and certainly it's one of my top priorities moving forward. And you know, even before the mayor established the new public safety committee, I've been working on a wide variety of public safety initiatives throughout the city through my board membership with Charlotte Center City Partners, focusing on Uptown Charlotte. We had a meeting yesterday, actually, the Uptown Task Force, and we had a year in review and talked about all the things that we thought we put in place over the last 6 months that really kind of trying to regain public confidence in public safety in Uptown Charlotte and through the city as a whole, whether as we're talking about the Take Back the Block initiative that we're doing in Uptown Charlotte, Uptown Vibrancy, the Ambassadors Program, work with all the private security officers from all the major bank buildings working together as one, in addition with CMPD. So I took the opportunity during the holiday and really spent a lot of time in Uptown Charlotte, going to Hornets game, going to the Charlotte Invitational, going to dinners, going to the events at Chewis Field for the Christmas celebration, bowl games, and a high concentration of police officers, high concentration of private security, not only on the streets of Uptown Charlotte, but also on the bus stands and the bus station. I parked my car at Johnson C. Smith and jumped on the streetcar and experienced the streetcar and the transit station, and I am so impressed thus far in terms of how we are leaning in and ensuring that folks in Uptown Charlotte is safe and secure, which is a part of District 2 for sure, and what we're doing throughout the city as a whole. Beatties Ford Road Initiative, we've done a lot of work on Beatties Ford Road, specifically targeting Catherine Simmons and Beatties Ford Road, working in conjunction with Mecklenburg County and Commissioner Velma Leak, who's been an amazing partner on this initiative on Catherine Simmons. Wraparound service, all of government working together, Mecklenburg County, the city, CMPD, code enforcement, the legal office, focusing on mental health, focusing on substance abuse, focusing on laundering and those type of window type of New York analogy. Fix the broken window. We're trying to fix the broken window in a very narrowly tailored corridor to provide better quality of life. The city bought property on Catherine Simmons in November that we're going to transform into affordable housing. We will continue to bear down on those type of initiatives. And if it can work in Beatties Ford Road, it certainly can work throughout the city. I believe, and I try to do, is make district issues city priorities, and we've done that with the corridors of opportunities that started in District 2. We did that with the Alternative to Violence program that was started in District 2, and this whole of government approach focusing on public safety in a narrowly tailored way, starting on Catherine Simmons in District 2, I think could be a model for the city, and so we continue to lead into that. We welcome Chief Patterson and Attorney Fife, who's our new attorney. Those two ladies have hit the ground running, and I'm so impressed with the energy and enthusiasm that the new Chief of Police is bringing to our community. She's been everywhere, and I just really appreciate her candidness about what needs to happen, her ability to bring people together. Anytime you can get to the rank and file police officers, the Fraternal Order of Police, the City Council, all saying that this is the right person for the job, I think we've made a great selection, and now we got to get to work with her and to begin to move forward. Probably next week, CMPD will release their annual crime report for fiscal year 2025. The proof is in the pudding, and so I don't have any heads up on that other than, we still got two issues that we have to face, right? The actual data, and what the data suggests we are in terms of crime in Charlotte, and we're still addressing issues relating to perception. And so we still have to do both. And so next week, hopefully, we will kind of see what the score is and how do we leverage whatever the report says to really focusing on being a lot more assertive. I want to be a lot more assertive. And, the first murder of the year occurred last week in District 2, and one of the stations, I think it was Channel 36, interviewed a resident, and the resident said, you need to be a lot more assertive. If you do the crime, you got to do the time, right? And I want this council, from my perspective, to be a lot more assertive in terms of loitering, panhandling, those type of issues that really impact the quality of life, the perception of crime in our community. I want to run people to services for sure, give them the help that they need, whether it's substance abuse or mental health, wellness, housing, workforce development opportunities. But if we do all of that and folks are still breaking the law, then I think we need to be very assertive in enforcing the laws that are already on the book, and that will be some of the things I will be taking to the City Council at our retreat. And I've been saying it very consistently, saying that for the last several years, and I think finally, I think we have an opportunity to, under Chief Patterson's leadership and working in conjunction with the City Attorney's Office, really even cracking down on businesses and landowners who buy property and lease them to those who are selling drugs. We just need to be a no tolerance on a wide variety of issues moving forward. So that's crime and public safety, and I look forward to serving on the committee and continuing the initiatives that I've been involved in for the last several years, continuing the work on that front. Transportation, certainly I'm a member of the Transportation Committee as well, and lots going on there. In particular, that's impacting District 2 is all the conversations about the expansion of I-77 South. Residents along the Batesford Road corridor are extremely concerned and frustrated regarding both of the plans that have been produced thus far by NCDOT that really, from my perspective, continues to put burdens on Black and brown communities as relates to infrastructure and road widening. I-77 has a long history in reference to that. We don't need to repeat those type of mistakes that we've made in the past. I will be assembling a town hall meeting on Saturday, January 22nd, 4th? It's January 24th here at the Government Center. We're bringing in NCDOT. We're bringing in Tom Hatchett to talk about the historical perspective of I-77 South. We're trying to answer a lot of questions before the residents get here, but I want to create an environment where residents can be heard. I want to create an environment where folks can have the opportunity to communicate with one another, and that we can talk to NCDOT and have a relationship that's mutually beneficial, because two things can be true at the same time, right? I-77 South probably does need to be widened, right? But it shouldn't be done at the expense of black and brown communities. And so we've been working with them. I have been working with NCDOT, number of meetings over the last several weeks and months about this particular project, and we're going to bring that to a head at the town hall meeting on the 24th. Just really begin to provide an opportunity for residents to once again be heard. A lot of the residents don't even know what CarPro is. Right, and that's the government body, or quasi-government body, that's making some of these decisions. And so we want to break it down, we want to level set and create an opportunity where NCDOT and residents and I can kind of work together to ensure that we continue to build a better Charlotte, but don't put the burden on the back of black and brown communities, and certainly neighborhood leaders and residents up and down the Bettysville Road corridor. Want to take the opportunity to congratulate David Howard and Frank Emery and all the members of the Metropolitan Public Transit Authority. They got sworn in last month. I watched their meeting last night. Interesting, it's but exciting, right? Because they're building something new, and before they can build a new transit stop on the Red Line, they have to build a foundation. They have to build chemistry. They have to build synergy around the room. They have to build the foundation of the organization for all the major projects to come. And I think we got the right men and women around the table to do that. Certainly Chairman Howard and Vice Chairman Emery, I think, are uniquely qualified to do that. Ned Curran is there to provide support as treasurer for the new authority, and Anthony Lindsay from the town of Huntersville is going to have a big voice already in that authority, I'm just excited for them. I want to be as helpful to them as I can under my chairmanship of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. We had a committee meeting this week, and we're going to allocate our work support $4.3 million for startup funding for the authority. Council's going to vote on that on the 12th. And it's utilizing existing sale taxes, right? And it's, having a brand new car. The car looks good, the car smells good, the car doesn't have any gas. And so what we're going to do is help them get started by putting some gas in their car so that they can do some of the foundation building necessary for them to get off the ground and go further, right? And so I'm excited about working with the new authority, excited about working with Chairman Howard and Mr. Embry, as well as all the members. 27 people, as we saw last night, is a lot of folks. It's complicated, right? But I think they have the skill sets to figure it out on behalf of the community. And so I'm excited to continue to watch and lean in where I can.
Malcolm, is that a one-time thing, that 4.3? Like, is that enough to get them into?
Well, it represents about 6 months of work of what we would have done if those type of items were within the CATS budget, right? The relationship between the city and the authority, we're kind of married at the hips because we still run the system right now. We will be working on a gradual transfer of authority from the city to the authority, personnel, human resources, assets, liabilities, all those type of stuff. So I would suspect that there'll be a number of interlocal agreements coming between the city and the authority over the next several months and maybe years. Obviously, that's a relationship and a partnership that we value. And so I think we should be as helpful as we can to get them off the ground. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting relationship, but I think one that we can certainly should lean into. Of course, the authority does not do the road construction. That's done by the city, and so we look forward to identifying all those strategic areas in District 2 that needs road funding. Certainly the Mountain Island Lake area is one of particular importance to me. The Transportation Committee will, I think, be handling that aspect of it, while the intergovernmental relations will be doing the assets transfer, personnel, the relationship. That's how I see it in my mind. Maybe the 15th floor may see it differently, but I think that's the division of work for both of the committees, but certainly everyone's going to be dialed into that. And it's a partnership, right? It's a partnership between the city and the authority, and a lot of work needs to happen. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And the first step is getting them seated. They're seated. The second step is making sure they got gas in the car. They can go a ways. And then the hard work is on the shoulders of Mr. Howard and Mr. Emery and the authority of putting the puzzle together, right? Building the foundation, as I said earlier, creating the corporate chemistry for all the construction to follow. And so I'm excited to be working with them. I'll be following that. Growth and development, we talked a little bit about that. Charlotte, again, depending who you talk to, 150, 160, 170 people move to the city of Charlotte and the region every day. We're a growing city, a growing region. I like growth. I like controlled growth. Although there are some pockets in the community that we really need to focus on. Steel Creek is one of them. Mountain Island Lake is another. Both of those have two things in common: state roads as well as city roads, and how they kind of work the magic to make that happen. But hopefully the road money that we receive will help us to lean in and try to identify problems that we can fix through our strategic area plans, and that through our area plans. And we've done a lot of work over the last 3 years, starting with the 2040 comprehensive plan. Then we approved the UDO. Now we're doing the area plans. There are other plans to follow. And so again, we are managing the growth. We acknowledge the growth. I am pro-growth, pro-development, as long as it's balanced, right? I think that's for sure, and that we have the policies in place to support it. And with our strategic area plans, the comprehensive plan, the UDO, rewriting. The UDO was a rewritten of a plan that was like 40 years old, and so we're learning as we go. We're making adjustments to these plans as we go, but I think the residents should feel certain that we are focused on the growth. We're managing the growth. We're focusing also on our corridors of opportunities to make sure that people are a part of the change and not victims of it, putting policies and programs in place to ensure that we're lifting everybody's boat at the same time. And I think it's complicated, but I think we have taken several really good steps forward that demonstrates that we acknowledge that Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and so growth and development is really important. In the governmental relations and the budget, so budget season starts now, and I'm not a finance guy, I'm not a CPA, so I'll be leaning on some of my colleagues for sure, but I've obviously dealt with budgets at the state level as well as the local level for decades, right? And our budget cycle will be challenging at best. No prediction about what's going to happen. We're going to follow the manager's lead as he presents the budget. Council has already gotten our schedule for our budget workshops, so we do our budgets through the budget as a whole. All the council members, not just the committee members, will be working on and receiving input within the budget. Obviously, public safety is a major driver of our budget, and I suspect that I will, as well as other council members, let me speak for myself, I will be looking at the budget line item related to public safety to see what more can we do. Part of what I think is working for us on Catherine Simmons and Beatty's-Ford Road is the collaboration and the relationship that we're having with the county, that we're buying property, right? We're buying the block. We're working with nonprofit organizations on the ground, Hearts for the Invisible, Block Love Charlotte, Just Do It movement. These folks are out there on the street when we are all asleep, working with some of our homeless population, driving them to resources and services. And so I want to be able to help them and maybe find a way for them to be strategic partners of the city in some of these work that we're doing, right? And fund them at a level that gives them, again, more gas in their car so they can do more for us on the level setting. Because if we're going to have this type of enforcement that I believe that needs to happen, we need to make sure that we run people to services first, to help first, right? And give them the opportunity to help themselves. And so I'm looking at the budget from a public safety perspective. Obviously, Chief Patterson will be making her request. The council has never, even under her predecessor, said no to things that the CMPD has wanted. Sometimes we gave them things that they didn't want, right? And that's a whole other story that you guys already covered. But the bottom line is that we're going to be really thoughtful about how we interface with the budget.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Of course, Malcolm Bram has a lot more to say, but we've got a lot to get to, so stick with us. Coming back to that and more stories in just 2 minutes. Welcome back. Julie Kay here. It is just past 2:50 on your Friday. We want to get right back out to that presser with City Councilman Malcolm Graham talking all things Charlotte, not just the upcoming budget session and the new transit authority, but also, of course, the Panthers and all sorts of other stuff going on in the city.
Many of you know that I've served for 10 years in the North Carolina State Senate, and I was a congressional candidate, and so part of the work of the committee is working with our federal agenda, our local legislative requests to the General Assembly. I think I'm uniquely qualified to have some of those conversations. I served with Senator Berger for 10 years. He's still there. And so we have a relationship. We agree that we disagree from time to time, but once the gavel sounded, he's a pretty nice guy. And so we'll try to have a relationship that's meaningful on our federal legislation, obviously working with Congressman Adams and helping us get the things that we need from the federal government. That's a complicated relationship now, too. Certainly the state delegation will be, from my perspective, heavily focused on public safety initiatives. Part of the meeting we had yesterday, I talked specifically about making sure that maybe the city, the county, and the alliance, all our legislative agendas kind of look and sound the same. The old saying, one band, one sound, that we're all asking for the same thing. And it's the same things we've been asking for decades. More support for our judicial system, more DAs, more public defenders, better technology in the courtroom, maybe night courts. I think if the state of North Carolina really wants to be a partner with us, and they have been helpful to us in some respects, right? The PAVE Act was helpful to us. Chief Jennings and DA Merriweather had some success getting legislation that they needed for public safety, right? They, 2 years ago, even was willing to give us $30 million for the tennis complex, right? And so we've had some wins with them, but it is an election year. And there's a lot of politics, and we just hopeful that on the 29th, when many of our local leaders go to testify about crime on our transit system and crime in Charlotte, that it's a conversation where people are talking to each other versus at each other, right? Because there should be a concern about what's happening in crime throughout North Carolina, not just in Charlotte, right? And that's a great public policy discussion to have. It's not a good political conversation to have, right? And so I hope that it can be focused on the policy that is needed and the things that we can do collectively together, the state and the city and others, to demonstrate that the Charlotte-Mecklenburg, which generates millions of dollars that goes to the state, that there's a return on our investment for the type of services that we need to process the work. And we're saying that we need to be a lot more assertive in terms of enforcing laws, that we need a judicial system that can handle what we're trying to do. And if we don't have the resources from the state, then it makes it complicated. And so I look forward to those relationships. I will go to Raleigh on the 29th and be in the crowd and talk to some of my old colleagues and listen to the presentations. And like I said earlier, I hope it's one where folks are talking to each other in a collaborative fashion, where we can get some meaningful things done on behalf of the citizens of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. And then lastly, and then I'll open it up for any questions and comments. I have some Panthers stuff behind me. So in December, we received a letter from our city manager saying that all of the documents, contracts that the city and Tepper Sports and Entertainment needed to sign to complete the $650 million renovation of the stadium is done. And so I want to thank David and Nicole Tepper and all the executives over at Tepper Sports and Entertainment, their lawyers, Christy, everyone for doing an outstanding job working in conjunction with the city. Now it's time to renovate a stadium, right? And I'm excited about that and excited about the fact that we continue to invest in hospitality and tourism in Charlotte. Sports and entertainment is in the DNA of the city of Charlotte, and it's a part of who we are. And Bank of America Stadium serves as a venue not only for the city of Charlotte but for the region, and it helps pays people's bills on a day-to-day basis. Our frontline workers, waiters and waitresses and Uber drivers and small business owners and event planners and those who own hotels and small businesses, they feed off what happens at Bank of America Stadium, whether it's the NFL team, whether it's Charlotte FC, whether it's concerts. What's the baseball team that was here that sold 60,000 tickets? Which is crazy, right? I mean, and I think they did it twice, right? When those events happen, people are working, and I think it's a $1 billion economic impact of having that team in our city. And I want to thank the Teppers for all that they do. They did their Christmas party, as they always do, in December of last year for the community. They helped the council out when we invited Johnson C. Smith to come here to give them a proclamation for their team. They're good on the field. They're good in the community. And again, I just want to thank David and Nicole and the whole team for getting us to this point. We've got a number of commitments there, and on January 27th, Clark joint venture with D.A. Everett will be sponsoring a outreach program for small businesses at 8 o'clock at the stadium. There's a 27% goal of small and minority participation that we want to meet. And that is really a kickoff meeting for those small businesses that are interested in participating. D.A. Everett Construction is a small business owner. He did a lot of the work at the Spectrum Center. Amazing work. If you guys saw the new rebranded, refreshed Spectrum Arena, he's now working in a joint venture relationship with Clark Construction, D.A. Everett, small business owner. I'm excited about having him over there, leaning in, demonstrating at the highest level the work that he and other small business owners can do. Carol Lilly with Lil Associates is also over there, and she's really helping to source for those small business owners in the community that want to be a part of this project. And she's a tough grader, and so she's going to make sure that those individuals who come through the doors provide a quality product at a competitive price, demonstrates the ability to compete. And so, again, that meeting is going to be on January 27th at B of A Stadium. Anybody can give me a call, and I'll direct them to Carol Lilly, who are interested in participating on that project. Huge opportunity there. And in addition to, the 4,200 seat entertainment facility that they'll be building as well, right? Which is, again, another crown jewel in our crown in reference to sports and entertainment that we'll be hosting there. So, quick fact, Tepper Sports and Entertainment has 2 playoff teams, right? The Charlotte FC had a great season this year, and they made the playoff, and I sent my best friends in Atlanta all type of greetings last week, and we are the Carolina Panthers are the NFC South champions, and I told Christy weeks ago, as Charlotte really we were struggling as a community, right? We had issue after issue, and one thing that brings a community together is sports, and then a winning team. And I think you will see a unified community this coming Saturday, bringing us together as one, starting the new year off right. Obviously, Charlotte is an amazing city. Just like others, we have our warts that we have to figure out, but we only can figure it out if we're all together. And so, again, I want to thank, again, the Teppers for really leaning in and helping bring this community together through sports. I think that's really important. The same way that the Johnson C. Smith University football team brought Beatties Ford Road together around a winning team. Winning brings people together, and so I'm so excited about the team. And it's another payday for our frontline workers. But for this playoff game on Saturday, a lot of people wouldn't be working Saturday. Is it night game? 4:30. Yeah, they won't be working at Saturday, and so they'll be working in preparation Friday. Then they'll be working Saturday, and again, all those workers I described earlier feeds off the team, and so we're really excited about about that for sure. Sports and entertainment, Charlotte Invitational Tennis in December. Over 14,000 attended to see Venus Williams and Taylor Fritz, Madison Keys. You guys should have been there. I was playing with Taylor and Madison, and you know, last month this time they were playing with me. Now they're in Australia. What a letdown for them, right? But again, it goes to sports and entertainment in Charlotte, getting people to work, and I am not done trying to bring professional tennis to Charlotte, and that's something I'm really working on. A number of meetings have already been had internally, and either we can do it or we can't. I think we can, and I'll be leaning in, talking about a wide variety of opportunities for our city around that, wide variety of opportunities at Bojangles Arena itself. I think we need to renovate that facility. It's a major driver for events coming through there. The Battle of the Bands will be there on the 24th of January. Yet another example of how that facility is being utilized. The new Women's Basketball League, they will be starting up playing their games, the Charlotte franchise, in March at Bojangles. And so, again, we're a banking town, we're a logistic town, but we certainly now, after COVID, have really pivoted to be a Thursday through Sunday town based on sports and entertainment. And with that, I will pause and answer any questions that you may have. I am not afraid to say I don't know. Right? I will tell you what I know and what I don't know. I will say I don't know, but I just wanted to kind of create an opportunity for us to understand who I am, things that's important to me, things that I'm working on, and obviously we got a big year ahead for the city of Charlotte.
Well, on the House Oversight hearing, you have experience in Raleigh. Do you trust that Chair Jones and the rest of the committee is acting in good faith by calling leaders to Raleigh on public safety?
I think that those gentlemen have a job to do as well, and as I said earlier, I hope that the discussion can be collaborative, that folks are talking to each other and not at each other. I think what we have done thus far in terms of our response to the state auditors when he asks these same questions, our response to the federal government when they ask these same questions, I think the leaders will be well prepared to respond in an appropriate and professional way. And the dialogue, again, that will be two-way, that not only we can talk about the things that we've done, I think to correct some things that needed to be corrected here on the ground, but also the help that we need from them to provide more resources and dollars to enhance our judicial system. And so I'm cautiously optimistic. I've worked in a building for 10 years. I'm not going to cast doubt on their intentions. It is a political season, I acknowledge that, and we all understand and realize what's happening at the federal level, at the state level. There's a federal election on the ballot for U.S. Senate. Everyone's out for re-election in the General Assembly, and so I just hope that we can keep the conversation on the policy and the resources needed, because the relationship between the city and the state is mutually beneficial. We provide millions of dollars to the state that help support counties and communities throughout North Carolina. We help with this payback to pay for some of our own local roads and our local transit that the state would have probably had to pay for themselves if they wanted to lean in that way. And so I think it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and I'm not sure that if I was a state senator, I would want to hurt or harm that entity that is really providing economic impact not only for a region but for the whole state.
One quick follow-up. Brendan Jones told me he calls these meetings because in this case it's local leaders not doing their job properly in terms of ensuring public safety. Your response to that?
I just respectfully disagree.
In terms of I-77, considering that those neighborhoods that will be impacted, they are passing their opposition fairly quickly. Is there an alternative to widening those road sides? Folks who talk about examples like in Boston with the Big Dig and sending that traffic into a tunnel as opposed to widening roads. What is your gut feeling in terms of alternatives that could be utilized?
Yeah, we met with NCDOT in this room about 3 or 4 weeks ago before the holidays, and we discussed a wide variety of options. And I said, hey, show me your homework. Show me where you excluded opportunities because of cost, because of whatever. And so they are due back to this week, I think, to get with me a response to some of these questions that the public has been asking. And so the short answer, I think all options should be on the table until they aren't. And what is frustrating for many of the community members is that they don't know what was excluded and why. So is it possible for us to go underground? I'm not sure. They would say it's too expensive. Well, show us. Show us where you went and study it.
All right, you were listening in to City Council member Malcolm Graham speaking all things Charlotte. That includes public safety, the new transit authority, as well as the upcoming budget retreat that will be later this month. Lots going on, of course. The biggest thing this weekend, though, is Panthers, as he talked about. So we're going to get some more Panthers coverage as we anticipate this big playoff game tomorrow here at home in just a couple minutes. Welcome back. Just a couple minutes till 3:15 here. And of course, we want to get back to Panthers so we can preview. This is tomorrow, of course, at 4:30 is the game itself. But here in the Live Impact studio at 2:30, we're going to have the pregame show with Nick Carboni, Danielle Stein, and Logan from WFMY. So check in here for all of your favorite sports reporters to talk about what's coming up. And Jeb, who's always here.
And he's a sportsy guy.
Yes, he lives in the walls, and then he comes out when there's something important to say.
It's true.
So he'll be here. Everyone will be breaking down what they're expecting from this huge matchup against the Rams. Historic. I will say, we have been checking in on ticket prices.
Yeah.
Apparently they've dropped. So if you're looking,
you can get a ticket now for $102.
That's
a steal. I'm sorry, but like that's
a steal.
That's a steal.
Well, we checked 2 hours ago, and it was $150 for the cheapest tickets.
Yeah, and I think
significant drop.
It's a drop. I mean, again, these are verified resale tickets that I'm looking at, so it's people that are like, I need to get rid of these. I need to get rid of these, so they're gonna drop the price.
Yeah,
but
still,
yesterday the cheapest seat was $170, and now I can get a seat for $100.
Shoot, maybe I should go.
I know. It's gonna be rainy, which I think is probably part of the reason it's dropping.
I know, but this being such an important game, I'm surprised that people aren't just braving the rain.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, I wouldn't want to brave the rain. So who am I to judge?
We're not. We love the Panthers. We're here, but
I'll be out of town actually,
you'll be
so
out of
I
town,
can't.
And you know what? I want to be with. Hold on. I want to be with them. You know what I mean?
I want to be with them.
I want to be with them.
I may be in Milwaukee watching the Bears-Packers game from somebody's couch.
Yeah.
But I will be streaming on my phone.
I can stay dry and watch Nick and Danielle and Logan. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Instead of tailgating.
Right.
Right?
I mean, there you go.
So that's what you should do.
Yeah. Don't worry about those cheap tickets.
Yes.
Don't worry about that.
Tune into us.
Or tune into us and then go get some cheap tickets, because maybe they'll drop even further. Who knows? But of course, I am not the football expert. We're going to toss it to Nick and Eugene. With Panthers on the Plus, this will take you to your newscast at
And Carboni.
And Carboni.
Yes.
Sorry to Nick. I left him out.
Everybody's in here.
Everybody.
Everybody's
We
in
got
here.
the whole casting crew, and they're breaking down everything you need to know ahead of tomorrow's big game.
On the Plus.
You know why I'm doing that. Wild card weekend.
You know that I can't jump in the seat.
I got Eugene hyped. I also do that to pay homage to Cam and Jarrell Newton. I mean, put some respect on my guy. I saw it on Charlotte today. Y'all broke the news, kind of. I saw it on Bleacher Report.
Dude, I know. Look. There's a rumor that my man Cam Newton's going to be out here in full force and keep pounding drum. And I'm like, dude,
do you know something?
Look, I don't know no people. It's just rumor. But guess what? I'm riding that rumor too, dog. If I'm riding that rumor, it would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Would it not be great to see Cam Newton make an appearance here at Bank of America Stadium? He's one of the most prolific quarterbacks that we've had. Indeed, changed the face of quarterbacking in the league, if you will, and did an amazing, superb job of taking this team when he got here in 2011 to a Super Bowl in 2015. I'm just saying, dude, he ain't no joke, man. That dude is the real deal.
I need Cam to come out through the tunnel with the smoke, do the Cam thing, yell out, and beat the drum, man. I need him to do all of that.
So
I need him to do all of that.
The energy here in Uptown is going to be insane.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely insane. No matter where you go, people are talking about the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
No matter where I go to the store, boom, I'm over there picking up mail. Boom, I run into my mailman. Boom, everybody's talking Carolina Panthers, and that is so great for the city. And that's what happens when you win. And don't forget, we've earned our way to a playoffs, man. We end up winning the division. All right, and so we had to put ourselves in position to go ahead and to earn all this fanfare and this love and this laud that we're receiving right now. I'll take it all day long.
I mean, it's the Panthers. Although we kind of stumbled down the stretch, we still beat the Green Bay Packers, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. Back when the Dolphins were hot, we beat the Rams.
Yes.
And so
let's talk about the Seahawks. Let's talk about the Seahawks. And we talked about this ad infinitum. The Seahawks. 17-10, fourth period, 8 minutes to go, third down and 20. We're on defense, and there's a penalty that is one of the most devastating plays that happened to us because it took the momentum, put it back and swung it back on the side of the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. They go down and score a touchdown. Yeah. Right? So now it looks like the game was out of reach. It wasn't out of reach. That game was in the balance big time, and we went toe for toe, tit for tat, tat for tit. Whatever you say, you know what I'm trying to say. We went that with one of the best teams in the league, who was featured to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I mean,
dude, I'm telling you, I don't know what y'all thinking, man. Carolina Panthers got it going on, man. Y'all sleeping.
Before we get to wild card, I got to give a shout out to to the Dirty Birds, man. They really, I gotta.
Oh yeah.
Had to do the Dirty Bird one time for the one time for the one.
Hey, Bijan and crew, look, I'm a big fan. They rose up and they won a huge game. And don't forget, again, that game was in the balance too, because you would never think that Tyler Shuck would have a chance to go ahead, throw a touchdown, and have a, within the end of that game, to have a meaningful play to get the ball back, to kick a field goal.
That Saints, they found their starting quarterback for the future.
Oh yeah, Tyler Shuck is their guy.
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal. He's their guy.
Enough about those teams that didn't make the playoffs.
All right,
let's talk about the teams that make the playoffs, including Carolina Panthers. Your 2025 NFC South Division champions. All right, so we have the home game, Eugene. I want to ask, last matchup. Look, I want to read off some stats because I got some stats. I did some research.
Okay,
here we research from time to time. Chuba Hubbard ran it for 17 times for 83 yards.
Yep.
That was kind of his comeback game.
Comeback game.
Rico Daddle, 54 yards. Bryce, 23 yards and some big scrambles. We got to get back to that because we've lost that as far as the running game. We have. I don't know if you know that, but
absolutely.
we've lost that. We got to get back to that.
We've lost that because teams have been getting into an 8-man front and saying, we're going to stop your run. How do you stop a run typically in an 8-man front is that I can take away every gap. I can split and take away every gap and make the running back have to make decisions in the backfield where he's not going to the line of scrimmage because there's a guy in his gap. And so from that standpoint, when you go 8-man front, what do you have to do? You have to either do some screens, you have to do some play actions to alleviate that pressure, to loosen it up, to get you back into a much more of a 7-man, 6-man front. That's what you want to go ahead and do. But teams are saying, hey, they know that our running game is dangerous, the rushing game is dangerous, so they're going to put everybody up in the box and say, hey, Bryce, we don't think you can beat us. We don't think you can beat us. You can't beat us.
I think Bryce is capable of beating a team because he did it already. He threw guys open.
Yes.
And I think one thing that we learned about Bryce, he excels when he extends the play. He's a very nifty guy outside. I didn't expect that from Bryce.
I think we're sleeping on his skill level because I'm telling you, the fact that he can run the rock, he can run the ball extremely well, but he says he chooses to sit back there and do exactly what Russell Wilson will do. Sit back there, survey before he has to get out of Dodge, right? That's what Bryce kind of reminds me of, that little patience, and he's looking to throw the ball and beat you with his arm. But make no mistake about it, that dude can run the rock, dude. That dude is one of he's one of the secret weapons because he can run the ball. And no doubt, but I'll tell you what, this game, as I look at it, you want to be able to control the offense of the Rams by not letting them on the field all day long. Because Stafford ain't no doubt. He ain't no joke. They got a running game. They got 2 running backs they can hurt you with. They got. We don't want to talk about Nakua. He got like 129 catches, man.
I mean, I remember last game, it was so easy for that offense to go up and down the field. And the big difference was guys like Derek Brown. That defensive line, we didn't send any blitz that game. I didn't see hardly any blitz that game. That was all those 4 guys lined up in the front. And Derek Brown with the pat down and the interception, the fumble recovery. I forgot who got the fumble. Who got the fumble recovery?
It was DJ Wanham got the recovery, but Derek Brown was the instigator because he had a strip sack.
How do we duplicate that? Because is that sustainable?
Absolutely, it is sustainable because you've already done it. So it's not like something that's out of the ordinary. It'd be different if I didn't do it and say like this, oh man, I wonder if we can go ahead and get to him with a 4-man rush. Well, you've already done it. So that means you switch up and do some games. Does that mean you mug up in the A gaps and B gaps with the linebackers, and then what you do is you pull them out. So now even as the offensive line make their count, and there's 6-7 guys up there, and they count, and you pull 2 guys out, and now some guy doesn't have a guy, and that one guy has a one-on-one thing, and Derek Brown beats a guy. So you got all that that's kind of going on. I thought Coach Ajero did a great job of putting people up in the box and pulling them out. Sending cats on the edge and then pulling them out. I mean, you got to be really, for this team and for that quarterback, you got to be on point because Stafford has a quarterback rating of 109. He has 65%, maybe 66% completion percentage. I want to say maybe 47 touchdowns. Only maybe 10 to 8 interceptions.
It's something.
And 2 were in our game.
It's something. I mean, the
dude's incredible.
He
dude.
went back in the time machine, and now he's 23 years old.
The dude is incredible. Make no mistake about it. We know how good they are. But let me just say this too with you. The interceptions that we got, most people will say, well, you know, the quarterback threw 2 interceptions. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't throw 2 interceptions. Those interceptions were earned. That was earned by Mike Jack having great coverage, on Nakua.
Yeah.
It was earned that you had Derek Brown in the face, putting the big paws up, getting a deflection, and now Scott gets the rock.
Yeah.
So it always bugs me when they say a quarterback threw an interception. I'm like, you act like the guys on defense ain't working.
Yeah.
Because they were working on defense. And so from that standpoint, I think as the Carolina Panthers, you're playing with house money. You throw caution to the wind. You go in here. I don't care I care what plays I do, but look, if I do something a little bit exotic, trying to do something a little bit more aggressive, so what? I'm not supposed to win anyway. That's what you said.
I would like to see, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, or correct me if you have a different perspective on this, rather. I would like to see Trayvon Moore come off the edge on that blitz. I think he's really effective when he comes off on that blitz. Man.
I think Coach Ajero has used them really well because Moore, what he reminds me of is like a little bit like Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
He's back here in cover 2. Now he's down there in linebacker depth. Oh, he's on the edge.
Yeah.
Oh, he's blitzing off the edge. Oh, no, he's not blitzing. He's dropping back in coverage. Having that, you know, where you don't know, Leroy Butler, we used to use him that way for the Green Bay Packers. We use Leroy Butler, like the uncanny insaneness of it, and the fact that person can make plays is huge.
And it took him a while to get his footing.
It's huge because I know he's really found his stride because he's like, oh, I'm like that 20. It's like, what was the guy that we had here that we drafted? We wanted to get the kid from Clemson, Isaiah Simmons. We didn't pick him, but we got.
He plays for the. He played for the Commanders. This is gonna. I can see his face. Oh, Eugene.
Man, it's going.
I know exactly, and I know the.
Oh my goodness, he played safety / linebacker 3-4 years ago. He was one of the top draft picks at that time, and we didn't know whether we were going to use him at safety or at linebacker, and we used him all over the place. And
Jeremy Chin.
That's what Trayvon Morgan reminds me of. The fact that when we used Jeremy Chin, he was all over the place. And he just made plays. That's what I think that Morgan's getting to.
And Isaiah Simmons?
Yeah, and he's on our team too.
He's back on the team.
Yeah, he's back on the team.
We got a lot more Panthers wild card weekend. We're excited. We're hyped. Look, we've gotten word, Eugene, before we go to break. If they can hear us in the newsroom, and I don't care.
I don't care.
One thing I'm not excited about is seeing those Rams running back. Blake Corum, Kyron Williams. I mean, they absolutely went to work in week 13.
They can run. They have a really good running game, whether they're running zone stretch plays, they can run a toss play. They were able to get on outside. They did an amazing job. Now, I thought that our edges weren't cool. What I mean by the edge is that you have somebody on the edge, linebackers, sometimes a safety, that forcing that ball back inside because they were able to get on the outside. When they get on the outside, you make the other players who are inside of you, you always make them chase the ball. So that's why we always tell corners, hey, you're the last person on the line. You force that ball back inside because if they get outside of you, that means 10 people are chasing the ball. All right, so you want to make sure that you force that ball back into the middle. I didn't think we did a good job of that.
No.
I thought that that was one of the things that we didn't take care of was the edge control. And moving forward at this game, I bet you the edge control is going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing, and probably we drop down into a little bit of an 8-man front.
It's like they had Moses on their team, and he just parted the sea, and they just ran right through it. I'm like, what's going on?
And those backs are so good, capable running backs. They're really good running backs. So you give them a rock, they can take it to the house.
Oh my,
Either one of them, Williams or Corum, they can take it to the house. And so they have a really good running game, no doubt. But I thought that we didn't do ourselves justice because I thought that our BCR, bootleg, contain, and reverse, that edge control that you need to do to force it back into the middle, I thought that we were lacking.
Safety play. I know we talked a lot about Morick and his effectiveness, but it seemed like Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua were able to get wide open in the middle of the field at times. And it will be times where it's third down and long, and they're wide open. What did you see out there?
So when we go into a zone defense, what's becomes problematic is because with the drops of the linebackers.
I hate the zone, by the way.
Yeah, I know. You got to pick your poison. And so with the drop of the linebackers, sometimes the linebackers don't get enough depth.
Okay.
Roseboom, this past game against Tampa, he drops back really deep one time, picks off a deep end about 18 yards. But typically he's like 4 yards. He's not dropping that no 16 yards. He does dropping that 12 yards, 10 yards. So a lot of that zone stuff that we're talking about finding that zone is because of that space behind the linebackers. And then the other thing is, if you're in zone with Matthew Stafford, he's going to eat you up, dude. He's sitting back there waiting for it because the routes are designed for them to clear areas. So he's sitting there waiting, and he's going to throw people open. So it's very, very tough. That's why I'm much more of a fan of man-to-man, but you can't go man-to-man every single time. You just can't.
What does it do? Carolina is a young team, and we have a lot of young starters. First playoff appearance for a lot of those guys. Against a veteran group. Matthew Stafford has won a Super Bowl. Sean McVay has made, I think he's been to 3 Super Bowls, actually. No, 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls. Lost one, won one. But that's just a group who has playoff experience. So when you're a young team and you come across a veteran group like that, what's the mindset? What's the preparation?
So it's really kind of hard because you want everybody to have playoff experience or Super Bowl experience. And first of all, you want to see it from your coaching staff. Why do you want to see it from your coaching staff? Because they kind of know what is expected in the playoffs. And for that, with Coach Canales, we're thankful to have a coach who's been involved in that. Right? Whether it was Seattle or whether it was Tampa. He was rolling and rolling hard. So he kind of knows scheduling, administration, all that type of stuff. Now, the football is the football. That's down. That's something that you know. But some of the other stuff that you may not know, what I'm talking about, the administration of, things happen earlier, or your schedules change. You're doing this earlier, this is later, or you got to walk through here. All those things may change, and it may disrupt your timing of things. And then just the hype of the game. The hype of the game is something too, because everybody's talking about it. Those players can't go anywhere without people talking about the Carolina Panthers.
And it's a home game.
And then
it's a home game.
And all the guys who are really big guys, they stick out like sore thumbs. So they're like this, hey man, he got to be a Panther. Even if they don't know he's a Panther, they're going to say he has to be a Panther player. From that standpoint, so that's different from a normal game throughout the week, because everybody's not clamoring over the normal game. But this game, they are clamoring over, and that adds some excitement, some nerves, all that stuff that you got to get used to and get it calmed down, because this is just another football game.
Look, I got my eye on Canales because he's been getting a lot of criticism, as he should, because play calling hasn't been the greatest, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
You may differ on this.
I differ with you, but go ahead.
I don't think the play calling has been great. Let's take Tampa off the table, right? Because that was a sloppy game. Last month, it's just felt disjointed. We haven't been able. He's not sticking to the run game. I see Rico. He might pop off a 7-yard run. I just feel like there's no chemistry with Bryson Canales the last month of the season. I'm a firm believer.
Can I still use the same analogy I just used?
Go ahead.
So I want to use the same analogy what I just used. So when we were talking about Matthew Stafford, and we were talking about, people say he threw some interceptions. I'm like, no, he didn't throw interceptions. The other team made him throw interceptions, and they were in great position. The same thing is true. Coach Canales has drawn up some really nice runs. Dude, I've been a part of 8-man front. Dude, you ain't going nowhere, dude.
And so am I being irrational for saying that?
Yeah, well, here it is, because I'm just saying for you, it's like the 8-man front, Now, how you combat that? You put 2 tight ends on the line of scrimmage, right? So now you got your 5 and you got 7 dudes on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Now that's one way that you combat it.
Yeah.
So now you have to spread the gaps out a little bit.
Yeah.
And now the running back is responsible for one dude. He has to make a miss. So you go to double tight ends, and then if you do play action off that double tight ends, you got bootlegs, and then you got maybe we call these deep over plays that you can go ahead and do. So you got some plays that you can go ahead and do, right? But when the defense says, we're not going to let you run, they do this. We're going to put everybody up here because you can't pass.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Canales has been a victim of, dude, they got everybody up here. Now, what they didn't do, which I would say, is when he dropped back to pass, we saw only sometimes lately 4-man rush.
Yeah.
So that means that I want to see 5-6 men because 4 people shouldn't be getting there collapsing the pocket.
Right.
Because you got another guy who can help, and plus you got a tight end who can go ahead and chip off. And so from that standpoint, I'm going, dude, well, all right, we got 4-man rush. Four people shouldn't be getting there.
Yeah.
That ball should be coming out, and we should have more yards in the passing game. I would go with that. But the run, dude, they decided they were not going to let Rico Dowdle do what he's been doing, which is just eating folks up. And he was killing them. So every team is coming here saying, well, you ain't going to run. And we know how we stop a run? 8-man front.
Yeah.
We'll get 8 men. And sometimes we'll drop 9 dudes down there, and we get them in the gap, go like this. Okay, go, run.
And you can't go nowhere.
You can't go nowhere.
And look, I get it.
No double teams, none of that stuff don't work. You got to go man to man.
I think as a fan, I have to be super critical of every aspect. I can't just, for me as a fan.
Yeah. So I was on the same thing with Coach Canales. Like, hey, what can you do? He said, I got to go ahead and be able to call more play actions. I got to be able to call, and I'm sitting there going like this. Yes, because I know, and everybody else knows that when you got it stacked against you, you're not running anywhere.
Yeah,
you're not going to run anywhere. All the gaps are taken.
With that being said, you talk about the offensive line. You mentioned the offensive line. Rob Hunt maybe coming back with that Ray Lewis. You remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
that thing. Rob Hunt, also Turk Wharton coming back potentially.
I think that would be outstanding because Turk was playing extremely.
Oh man,
extremely well. And I thought that he was one of the missing ingredients.
Yeah,
I thought that. Now, don't forget Bobby Brown, but he had maybe a concussion last year.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to play.
I don't know if he's going to be in concussion protocol or not. I would love to see Turk get back there because there was something about he and Derek Brown that was just kind of magical.
They play well together.
They play extremely well, and I thought that he was one of those lifts that we needed on that defense. And don't forget, because I've been really critical of the linebackers for the most part.
Yeah.
Like
understandably so, yeah.
And I'm like critical of the linebackers. I'm like, because I'm used to a Thomas Davis. I'm used to a Luke, and it's unfair to those guys. However, as I say that, I think we've kind of we've come around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the defensive front and how we are deploying people as being a little bit more cohesive and stopping people. Because I think last couple of games, we've been stellar in defense. And we've been really, really good.
Before we go to break.
Very good on defense.
X Factor, XL. This could be an XL breakout game.
It could definitely be
because he's been quiet. I forgot he was on the team. I stopped putting him on the
because
rundown.
guess where you've been hearing Jalen Coker's name? That's why you've been hearing Jalen Coker and T-Mac.
Or XL's just not. They I don't think they believe in XL.
No, I don't think they say that they don't believe in XL because when you get to this juncture, all hands are on deck. So every hand is on deck. Yeah. I think that the fact that Coker, I like him.
I like Coker a lot.
Because, so if I'm Coach Canales, I gotta feed this dude, man.
Yeah.
I gotta feed him, dude.
He's getting open. He's making catches.
He's making catches.
He made a heck of a catch against the Bucs.
Dude, the dude is just making catches. So I can't give everybody the ball.
Yeah.
And so somebody's gonna get less numbers. And guess what? XL's getting less numbers because Jalen Coker, in my opinion, has stepped up. He stepped up huge, big time.
I get that, but when Jimmy Horn is getting more touches than you and you're the number 2 receiver.
Well, here it is. I would lump Jeremy home, and I was lobbying this with Coach Canales the other day. Hey, throw that ball deep to that
go.
Throw that rock deep.
I'm waiting for Jimmy Horn to
throw that rock
go.
Deep. That dude is. He's like Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
For the Panther fans who don't know what I'm talking about, you remember the speed of Ted Ginn getting behind the defense. Every safety doesn't like the fact that somebody gets behind you with speed. No defensive coordinator likes that, because if you just throw the ball down there, it's a 50-50 ball, and they're good enough to go ahead and take a lowly play and make it a huge play. And so just because of their speed. So why not, Coach Canales? Why not?
Oh, man.
Just let it eat. Let old boy just run. I would have at least 2 go routes in the first period. In the second period, I'll have at least 8 go routes that young man is running.
Oh, for sure.
And post and variations off the go route.
For the kids, go on YouTube, search Ted Ginn. I remember Ohio State Ted Ginn. So if you want to go to Ohio State, Panthers Ted Ginn, Saints Ted Ginn, Miami Dolphins Ted Ginn, all the Ted Ginns in the world. Ted Ginn Jr., by the way, because there's a senior. I want to get to this, Eugene. This wasn't on the rundown, but I want to ask. Take us back. Your first playoff game. What do you remember?
Wow, my first playoff game was actually in Seattle. That was a long time ago. Let me go to my playoff game with the Green Bay Packers, because I wasn't used to all those people screaming and yelling and whatnot. I'm like, oh my goodness. Right? And they're yelling for you, but there was such a heightened awareness and just love that I was like, wow, I'm in the playoffs and I'm sitting like this. I can't mess up because I'm the free safety. If the lineman messes up, guess what? You got a linebacker behind him, and you got some corners and safeties behind him. If the linebacker mess up, you got the corners and the safety behind him. But if the safety messes up, there ain't nobody behind you.
Except for the fans.
Except for the fans, and those goalposts. And so I was like, wow, I got to make sure I'm doing my job. So I would study extra. I would make sure that, okay, dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure they come out in this formation, this is what they like. Okay, where the vulnerable spots? And so because I was thinking like that, I was just ready. I stayed ready. And when we were balling in Green Bay, man, they was hitting them drums and playing that song and go Pack, go, all that stuff. It was electric.
And it was cold.
It was cold, but you know what? You didn't even feel the cold. I didn't even think about the cold.
Did you have the Tiger Bomb?
I ain't had the Tiger Bomb, nothing. I just didn't think about the cold, because when you're winning, everything feels good. But when you're losing, I was thinking about the cold.
Oh, man.
It was cold out there, because you could tell if you're losing or not.
Eugene Robinson, he's going to be at Bank of America Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely.
On Saturday. I'll be there in spirit. Eugene still hasn't hooked me up with some tickets.
Hey, but everybody come on out, 4:30, man. And right now, they got a Panther tour going on with the drum. The drum, the Keep Pounding drum is going throughout different places here in the city. Thursday after tonight, they're going to be at Clutch, but they're going to be all at the Ballantine Bowl. So make sure fans get a chance to go ahead and hit the drum and be a part of the Keep Pounding thing and keep pounding.
Man, I love it, man. And Cam Newton is going to be.
I don't know. That's the rumor. That's what I'm saying.
That's the report.
That's the report.
This is the report. Hey,
I'm looking for Cam Newton somewhere.
According to Eugene Robinson, Cam Newton may be.
Man, I said may.
I'm not going to put that. I saw it on Bleacher Report. I saw some other. So I'll source them. We'll be back. Win, lose, or draw. Next week, we'll be back. Panthers on the Plus.
Dude, Panthers, we'll be back, dog.
We'll be back. All right, man. Y'all stay good.
Let's take this window.
Keep pounding.
We're looking for a win.
We're looking for a win. We'll see you next week.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Panthers on the Plus. I'm WCNC Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carboni. It is Tuesday, and it is day 2 of our nightly conversations at 9 o'clock, talking Panthers in the playoffs, taking on the LA Rams Saturday afternoon at Bank of America Stadium. We have a special guest every single night of the week. Got a really special one tonight. It is Alex Zetlow from the Charlotte Observer, who just got back from the bank. What's up, Alex?
What's up, man? Hey, I was about to say, if you were going to be in the studio, I will gladly join you.
I know. You were like texting me a couple minutes ago, like, do I need to be there right now? I was like, well, we could just do Zoom. It's okay. We're all really busy right now, but busy in a good way. So just like some inside baseball here, because of today's locker room times, I was not able to stick around. So for everybody out there who doesn't really know what the vibe was today, what was said, and this is the first time we've gotten to talk to the players since they knew they were going to be in the postseason, and now they're prepping for the Rams. So for everybody else out there and me, what was it like in there today, and what stood out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't really know what I was expecting, full disclosure. I mean, this team hasn't been in the playoffs since 2017, hasn't hosted a playoff game since 2015. Dave Canales is a second-year head coach, hasn't been to the playoffs as a head coach. Obviously, Bryce Young also. So it's like there are all these things. The Panthers actually have 7 Super Bowl winning players on their roster. And I think, and of those, there are like an additional 13 who have made the playoffs for other teams before. Obviously, only 2 have made the playoffs with the Panthers, and that's J.J. Jansen and Taylor Moton. So I say all that to say, this is like the most varied playoff experience group. Yeah. That in the NFL. So I was like, so I really didn't know what to expect, and I was expecting some sort of like excitement, some elevated, I wouldn't say like delirium necessarily, because like, you know, it's been a couple of days since they made the playoffs, and it's not a game day or anything like that. But I was expecting something special, and then you go up, you meander over to Mike Jackson, the Panthers cornerback who's having a wonderful year, and you're like, yo, Mike, so like, how'd you feel when you realized you made the playoffs? And he was like, oh, I was playing 2K. Yeah, I like learned about it on Twitter. And you're like, okay, well, maybe Mike Jack is just like this special kind of person who doesn't really look into anything. You go over to T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, rookie, and he was like, oh yeah, I was watching a movie. And I'm just like, what movie was it? And he was like, I don't even remember. You're telling me that you were watching a movie that you don't even remember instead of, you know, watching this Falcons-Saints game that decided the fate of this franchise and all these things. So that just kind of encapsulates kind of what the vibe was in the lockers room. The players were very much back to business, even as Dave Canales acknowledged how special this was, even as all 52 players on the active roster right now practiced in some capacity, which hasn't happened in a long time. So clearly something is different. But the players themselves were reticent to say that it was different, if that makes sense.
It does. 52 players on the active roster, you say. There's room for one more. What do we know about guard Robert Hunt and wide receiver David Moore? Moore is up on the active roster again, I believe, and now it's just a matter of if whether or not Hunt's going to be ready, right?
That's exactly right. Carboni, you're so good at this. That was remarkable.
I just read you, so you know how it works. No. I just read you.
Yes, precisely. The Panthers have 52 players on the active roster right now. Obviously, the active roster can hold up to 53 players. They have 2 players on the injured reserve who are practicing right now. Those 2 are guard Robert Hunt and guard Chandler Zavala. And Chandler Zavala just had his practice window open today. It's reading the tea leaves, it's really unlikely that he'll be ready to go by Saturday. But Robert Hunt has been practicing for now over 2 weeks at this point. And I think my sense was that the timeline for Robert Hunt was always going to be okay. If the Panthers do make the postseason, he should be ready for that first playoff game. He obviously suffered a biceps injury, a really significant one in week 2. If it didn't happen in week 2, they would have just, even if it happened in week 4 or something, they would have just shut him down for the year. Obviously, if you remember, Austin Corbett had literally the same exact injury last year, week 5, and they called it a season-ending injury like immediately. So I think that things are, I don't know what the proper language is, but things are trending up. And I would say that the Panthers would, because of their tendency to push things all the way to the game and to do this gamesmanship thing, I would imagine that he would be questionable going into Saturday. But if you're asking Alex Zetlow, I think Robert Hunt does play because he feels physically ready, according to Dave Canales, and he's been mentally ready for a long time. He's been in the building throughout the whole season.
Yeah, gamesmanship is fair game, in my opinion, heading into this game with a player like that, even though it's not the sexiest of positions. I mean, this guy is a beast in the run game, and they need to get that back on track. I mean, what would a Robert Hunt, and let's assume he is close to what he was before the week 2 injury, what would that bring to this offense at large, let alone just the interior up front?
Yeah, I think Austin Corbett has actually done a pretty good job just by me watching the all 22 tape or whatever after the game. I think he's actually done a pretty good job. I know a lot of fans were questioning him at the center spot prior to Cade Mays kind of coming in and taking over there. But at right guard, I think he's done a pretty good job. Now, when you marry that with the fact that the Panthers haven't been able to run the ball effectively the last couple of weeks, and you have a Pro Bowl guy like Robert Hunt coming back into the mix, yeah, you would hope that the run game gets better. The run game can't really get any worse also. I mean, they averaged 1.4 yards per carry against the Bucs last week. They were slipping and sliding everywhere. It didn't matter if they had longer spikes on their cleats or what have you. Rico Dowdle is over 1,000 rushing yards on the year, but I don't think he's had over 60 in like several weeks. Chuba Hubbard similarly has struggled in the run game. I mean, to answer your question, adding someone like Robert Hunt back into the starting lineup can only be a positive, especially if he's fully healthy. But I wonder if this run game stuff is more than just players executing. I wonder if it feels like it's a broader problem, perhaps a scheme problem, perhaps going up against good defensive lines and all these things. So, and it's interesting, the Panthers haven't run the ball well since Week 13 against the Los Angeles Rams, when they were able to dominate time of possession, be really good on third down, keep the ball out of Matt Stafford's hands. So, I mean, hey, no better time to get back on track.
Could it be any sort of predictability from a play calling standpoint? I mean, this is the identity the Panthers want to establish, and it seems like they do have certain tendencies of when they want to run the ball, and they're very stubborn about it, which sometimes can be a good thing. But obviously teams have kind of keyed in on it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it spot on. I mean, if you look at the trends of the season, yes, at the beginning of the year there was some difficulty trying to manage carries for both Chuba Hubbard and for Rico Dowdle, but then Rico really splashed, not only when he got the lion's share of the carries and could kind of feel the game out, but also when teams didn't really know what to expect from Rico. I think that's a really fair thing to say. When you don't know a team's identity, it's harder to game plan for them, just simply said. And it also helped that Rico got going against some of the worst rush defenses in the league as well. But yeah, I think there is a play calling thing there, but I'm not someone who is going to be able to go line for line and say, okay, Dave should have called this, Dave should have called that. That's not my strength. But I think what you're saying is very true.
Quickly before we go to break, David Moore being activated after his own long stint on injured reserve, what role could he potentially play Saturday, do you think?
He could play special teams, could be a really important player in special teams from a gunner perspective. I don't see him being one of the guys, one of the I mean, he could get in for several series, like on the field playing at the wide receiver spot, but I don't expect him to take reps from Jalen Coker, not from Xavier Legette, and certainly not from T-Mac. That's where I would see him. I actually talked to him today. The reporters talked to him today, and it was interesting. He talked about how the injury that he sustained kind of made him step back and really appreciate what this wide receiver room has done. And he concluded it by saying, and maybe I'm just splitting hairs here, but he concluded it by saying, I'm excited to watch them on Saturday.
And that's very interesting, yeah.
I mean, maybe that's Alex looking too deep into something.
No,
maybe
I mean, I think it seems like underlying there's, he may not be the plug him in the slot and Bryce is hitting him on third down that everybody kind of wants to see again out of him. But, that's probably asking a lot at this point, and they've got other guys out there.
Yeah, that's how I see it too.
All right, Alex Zetlow from the Charlotte Observer. We're going to have much more with him. Can this Panthers team, can Bryce Young, can Dave Canales meet the moment this Saturday against the LA Rams? on Panthers on the Plus with Charlotte Observer beat writer Alex Zetlow, one of our nightly guests this week as we get you ready for the Panthers' first postseason appearance since 2017. We'll be here every single night at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow is one of Alex's predecessors, Jordan Rodriguez, who has spent a lot of time with the Rams since she left. She'll be on tomorrow. And we will have a live pregame show, 2:30 to 3:30, outside the bank on WCNC Plus before 4:30 kickoff. Alex, you are one of the hosts of one of my favorite podcasts this year talking about the Panthers, Processing Blue, and I think you're smiling because you know that I tend to watch it while I'm doing things I hate. I think I listened to a whole episode standing in a rental car counter line. Holy moly, Denver Airport, you got to fix that. A lot of diaper changes recently have come while listening to Processing Blue. Processing Blue. That's right. But I do love it. You guys are great. And your buddy Mike Kay alluded on Twitter before I came to the microphone here to some sort of special guest. I will wait and see who it is unless you want to break that news here. But it sounds fun, so I can't wait to listen. When is that coming out?
That is coming out tomorrow morning.
Morning. Great. Diaper time, buddy.
No, yeah, we're talking, crack of dawn morning. So feel free to get woken up by your beautiful new child.
I will be up before dawn. I can promise you that. You mentioned and it was a very interesting point in our first segment, Alex, about this isn't like, you can't just call this like a young team. You can't call it a veteran-laden team. You kind of gave us your sense of the somewhat business-like approach, like not just like a bunch of young guys that don't know what the situation is. Like, what's your perspective on whether how special this team knows this opportunity is, especially in year 2 of this all coming together?
So I don't know why this is coming to mind when you ask me that question, but when I was a very young reporter at the Rock Hill Herald,
I remember.
No, you don't. You're being very nice, but no, you don't.
I do, but go on.
And so I was covering high school sports, but I was also covering Winthrop men's basketball.
Yep.
And the head coach over at Winthrop was this guy named Pat Kelsey. He is now the head coach at Louisville, just became the ACC Coach of the Year, or was that last year, and he's just an absolute, he's an amazing coach with amazing energy and all these things. When I was there, he was turning around the Winthrop program, and Winthrop went over to St. Mary's, a ranked St. Mary's team over on the West Coast, and beat them. And afterward, me and Pat had several long Q&As, and I said, Pat, and I didn't know what else to ask, so I was like, Pat, what gave this team the audacity to think that they could beat a ranked team on the road, small Winthrop from small Rock Hill, like all that stuff? And he said this quote, "They're too naive to know any different." And I think that is what this Panthers team is. They are so naive. They think that they can split in metronomic succession the last 8 games of the year, well, outside of losing 2 in a row. They think that they can do that and be a playoff team. They think that they can lose their season finale against the Bucks and be a playoff team in Atlanta. They think that without 4 players, without 4 key defensive playmakers in Week 13 against the MVP candidate in Matthew Stafford, against one of the best offenses and best offensive play callers in Sean McVay, that they can beat the Rams, and they did, because they are naive. I think that is what this team has been all season. I think I don't know how else to put it, because outside of that, I'm still struggling to figure out who these Panthers are, and I mean that in the most delightfully confused way. Because at the beginning of the season, I'll brag here, but then I'm gonna explain how I shouldn't be bragging. At the beginning of the season, I chose them to go 8-9. I was like, okay, this is who they are. This is just a gradual ascension, whatever. But during the season, like week to week, I think overall I've been correct on like 6 games.
Right.
Something
The path